Captain's Log, Stardate 0815.26. Admiral Teague reporting. During a routine geological survey of Alpha 177, Technician Fisher is hurt in a fall. He's beamed up, but Chief Engineer Scott encounters difficulties with the transporter. Although the equipment itself checks out, Scotty observes magnetic ore dust clinging to Fisher's uniform and suspects it disrupted the process. Captain Kirk then beams aboard. The transport seems successful, yet Kirk shows signs of disorientation, and Scotty walks him out of the room. As the transporter is left unattended, it turns itself back on, and a second duplicate Kirk materializes on the pads. It's one of the greatest opening teasers in all of network television history. From the moment the second Kirk appears, it's obvious he's a different guy. He's immediately sweating. He moves different. His eyes are darting around, and he's selling aggression pretty well without having so much as spoken a word yet. For the second time in as many episodes, we're going to throw an acting challenge at our leading man and have William Shatner sell two completely different types of Captain Kirk. In The Naked Time, it was Kirk having a breakdown. This time, he's split into two parts. There are two parts of the same whole, and each has the knowledge of the other one, and has operational knowledge of the ship. Keep that in mind. The first Kirk to materialize is the half with his measured, learned experiences and basically his personality. While the situation remains kind of tense, this is an operational mode where he's still comfortable and he hasn't had to use a lot of command executive decisions yet. That'll start to change as the stakes get raised. The second Kirk to materialize is the primal part, the id, the full-on aggression, the other parts of us that we restrain. Yeah, we need these primal urges to get by, but how we mix them together is what makes some people good, some people evil, and some people stuck in an eternal struggle for some kind of equilibrium between the two. The second Kirk to beam aboard is designated the imposter by the episode, and he leads the crew on a merry chase as he has a very controversial good time in what we can only call an unrestrained, wild indulgence of every dark instinct a person can have. Janice is lucky to fend him off, and he flees, showing fresh defensive wounds to his face. At the same time, the first Kirk to beam aboard, the one cooperating with McCoy and Spock, is losing his edge and ability to make decisions, with Spock having to rapidly step up and compensate. With, in some cases, Spock kind of sticking with the more humane decisions, especially regarding the landing party. However, when it comes to Captain Kirk's condition, he sort of goes from second-in-command mode to science officer mode and makes note of the idea that keeping them separate would be extremely interesting, and this is an opportunity they may not have again. This disgusts McCoy, and we see early parts of how their dynamic's going to work going on here. And, of course, they scrap that idea right away, with Spock noting that he has a human half and only was interested in it scientifically, not seriously considering prolonging the captain's suffering. With the decision made to track down the imposter and get the landing party off the surface at all costs, Spock challenges the captain to figure out where he would go to hide from himself on the ship. After a little soul-searching, a confrontation ensues in the engine room. Tonight, Star Trek will take a look inside human nature and whether or not it can make us believe that William Shatner actually wants to save George Takei from freezing on that planet. Sit back, pour yourself a drink, and of course, keep those brilliant comments rolling in. It's time for The Enemy Within, tonight on Saving Star Trek. Good evening, sirs and madams. It's your buddy Admiral Teague, and I'm here with my pal Resolute Germ. Germ, how you doing tonight?
Not too bad. How you doing, Teague?
Feeling okay? You're a little loud. I'm going to mess with your sound and bring you down to balance. Are you on like a...
I think I'm on the wrong...
Yeah, you bring
audio.
your settings with you from your last show. Put yourself on like the equalize. Hi, everybody. It's good to see everyone out there. Well, sorry we're a little late. Here's the deal. The slideshow took longer than we thought to make. I couldn't finish rendering it in time. I had to like kind of rush at the end there. And hopefully what's going to happen is that with the new format and the narration up front, we've got most of the plot analysis out of the way, and we can just kind of analyze the show. I didn't have time to put out the word, so if you could do me a favor and just tweet off the browser that we're live, be fun to have you guys help us out as we get ready for, I guess this will be one more Star Trek after this, and then Patton Part 2, Germ? Is that where we're at? Are we actually that close to Labor Day? Has that much of summer actually escaped us?
I guess so.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's good to see everybody here. And like I said, once again, I am sorry that I'm late. Nothing I could do about that one, unfortunately, but I did manage to somehow complete this slideshow. Although it does start with this ugly guy talking. So I don't know what to tell you. You look even worse without the glasses. What can I say? Maybe I should clean up around the place before the show. I don't know, but whatever. I'm sure one day when I'm super famous, Meme Copian will love this one. Oh, wrong video. All right. Tonight's episode is Enemy Within. And I guess the most basic way to explain this one is we're going to do Jekyll and Hyde in space. And we're going to use the Jekyll and Hyde in space story in a really functional manner. We're going to figure out a way to, I don't know how to explain this one. We're going to find out a way to unpack the transporter without getting overly boring, getting hung up on little bits and pieces and spinning wheels and gears. And we're going to have a fairly exciting story that explores the human condition in a Star Trek way. At the same time that we unpack how this magic device that we've just been using throughout the series works without getting into nuts, bolts, and individual things. And I guess we'll start out with mentioning right up front, major plot hole in this one. They hadn't thought of it yet. William Shatner is not able, as Captain Kirk, to say, just send a shuttlecraft. This is something that always bothered me watching the show growing up. I didn't understand, how come Kirk won't send a shuttle down there? Why just leave them? I guess if this episode had happened like 15 episodes later, they would have said, it's too cold and turbulent down there to send a shuttlecraft. The upper atmosphere has like some kind of Van Halen belts that like destabilize the warp field, right?
Yeah, probably season 2, they would have made that correction. But ironically, at this point in production, I don't think the shuttlecraft was a formulated idea yet.
There was no shuttlecraft. I think, honestly, part of it was I do not think they had the video of the shuttlecraft spinning around to be deployed and take off. Now, here's an unconfirmed rumor that I have heard here and there, and I don't know if you've heard this same rumor, but have you ever heard the rumor that just the scene of the shuttlecraft on the Lazy Susan spinning around to take off out the shuttle bay doors is an Anderson shot from the Space 1999 people? They ordered it from them. They're like, you guys do miniatures. You guys are good with little elevators. You guys are good with little like hydraulics. You guys are good with like what we need. We need this model that we have specifically designed. We need this model to take off from our landing bay. Can you make that for us?
I've heard that before, but I don't know how true that is.
No, it's a pretty hard one to verify. We'll try to grok it a little bit later. That's one of the interesting things. I would say this. It's got every Anderson thing going for it. When we do see the shuttlecraft take off, we have, instead of an elevator lifting the ship up, we have a Lazy Susan or reorienting it towards the shuttle bay. Kind of unnecessary, but it made sense in context, especially, a lot of people who had served on aircraft carriers, Gene among them, probably thought that was pretty cool. It looked functional. There's only one time in the remake they break with the original on that one, and that's in a Doomsday Machine where the shuttle takes off prematurely and like flies out and like zips through the shuttle bay doors while they're still opening. And the logic behind that was it was Commodore Decker, so he would be a really good pilot.
That does make sense. But as I have stated previously, I do not watch the special edition religiously. I stick to the original broadcast.
I think you should probably check it out just to see the difference. It's a much different experience. It's might be enjoyable, but I'm not going to like call you out in the carpet for that one, or shove you off the show. All right, so let me just kill the sound. Captain's log, Stardate. Just shut up. I can't take this guy. Sure, who gave this guy a show? During a routine.
Yeah, he is quite annoying at times.
All right. Our episode starts out on planet Alpha 177. I don't remember if they say 177 or 177 or 177. They have not tracked all the scientific stuff together yet, but one thing we do have going on is it looks like Star Trek. We have all our Star Trek music. We have our Star Trek sound effects. Everything is pretty much the way we need it to be to accept it as Star Trek. Germ, your thoughts?
Pretty much everything has come together by this point. All the characters are who they should be, and we have everyone we know who are not going to make it to the next round. Like Mr. Contaminant here.
Well, we're just not going to see him again. I don't know that we see this character get it. Yeah, he gets beat up pretty good by Kirk, but we see him again. All right. The away team is on the planet doing a standard geological survey. We get a log entry, much like the one I just did, saying the same thing. Kirk's down there because he's a hands-on kind of guy. And while they're doing space stuff that, I don't know how they figured out what they should be doing to make themselves look like they're up to something, but I don't believe I'm watching a bunch of guys acting. It looks fairly realistic. And this had to be pretty rough to like, all right, go in there and spaceman.
Yeah, probably a little bit difficult, but I'm sure they got an outline of what it is they were supposed to do, and hey, play with rocks.
That's basically what they do. It does work out a lot better than we could ever have expected it to. But one of the problems they have is our pal, Mr. Fisher, takes a tumble and he falls into this weird yellow ore. They are of the suspicion that the yellow ore causes him to have causes the transport to go poorly. He beams up no problem. But Scotty scans him and he's like, nah, I didn't love those readings. Maybe we should send you through here again. Take a better look. And that's when they decide to beam up Captain Kirk. And that transport doesn't go as well. It's a struggle to get Kirk aboard. And it takes everything Scotty's got. Kirk is a little disoriented when he gets on the ship. And what we decide we're going to do is, well, let's take a little walk, Captain. Scotty, the tech, Scotty, the tech, and Kirk leave together. A moment later, the transporter cycles back on. The tech walks back into the room moments later. But first, we see, for the first time on Star Trek, two Kirks. This isn't necessarily evil Kirk, Germ.
No, it's just more the aggression side of him, the more animal side.
It is just his id, as psychiatrists would call it. He doesn't have much self-control. He's extremely impulsive. If he had X, what would he be doing? Would he be calling out people all day and getting crazy? And he would be somebody who would be caught in the permanent reactor loop. Mark, hello, everyone. Kids are visiting, so out with them tonight. We'll try to drop by later. We all love Oshi. Okay, Mark, we hope to see you in a little while. And you know what? This would be a good time to take a minute just to say hello to all of you who are so kind as to join us. Out there right now, I see Mark. I've got Mark Harkness as well. The Dead Man, hello to you. And the Trek Reviewer. Guys, Admiral didn't do the most fantastic job of getting word out tonight. I was working hard on having a good show rather than getting the word out. I got a little too distracted. If you could tweet out off the browser that we're live, maybe some people will filter in because, as we know, there are some issues platformally about getting the word out when we're live. So between that and checking to make sure you're still subscribed, I think that, I've done enough PSAing tonight. Although, Germ, I did find out the alleged reason why people get unsubscribed.
Which one are they using now? I've heard dozens.
Which was the most popular one you heard? I'm curious.
If you don't tune into 3 published videos in a row, they'll drop you.
It can't be true because I still have like hundreds of subscriptions. What it is that might have happened to someone for sure. Here's the deal right now. If you act like what they think is a bot, they'll unsubscribe you from everybody. If you get unsubscribed because YouTube decided, hey, you're a bot. It's ridiculous, to be honest. All right. Go ahead, Trip.
That would make sense, except they don't delete you from everything.
And except they don't delete the real bots.
Yeah. I've been dropped from channels I watch regularly, but stuff I'd never watch never gets affected.
The only channel I've never been unsubscribed from is this one, and that's because you know what? You don't subscribe to your own channel. It would be way too confusing. Imagine getting your own warnings, although I guess you would know if you forgot to set your stream to public like I did today. One day people will stop attacking the stream all the time and I can just leave it listed all day like a normal YouTuber. Won't that be a great day?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Not going to happen. All right, we're just going to keep revving up OPSEC. I want to just say quickly here, this is something really, from a television point of view, Germ, you've been watching along with me. You've been here for every voyage. Last week, we had Captain Kirk act out of character against character in what would be regular episode 4, Paramount episode 5. It's episode 4 in broadcast. What's so weird about Star Trek TO? Hey, what's going on, Great Siam and Gohan? You know what? The weird thing about Paramount Plus is their numbering of the episodes makes the last episode of TOS to ever be shown the first episode of TOS. Because if you want to go with production order, the premiere date for The Cage is something like September 7th, 1988.
Yeah, something like that, or 1987.
It was the very last episode of the original series to be broadcast because it was broadcast immediately before Encounter at Farpoint. So let's just talk about this here. Had Captain Kirk, William Shatner perhaps played Jackal and Hyde? Because that's what this is. They want to illustrate the transporter. They don't want to be boring. They don't want to spend an entire show talking about it. And they don't want to just move on to the next story with someone appearing on the transporter pad and just walking in and going, hey, so I just had my molecules disintegrated, reintegrated, moved through a pattern buffer, and reassembled here on the pad for you guys to check me out. Instead, what they did was they went with classic horror. And they said, well, let's think about this plot device we were forced to develop when we compromised with the production company. Originally, the saucer of the ship was supposed to disconnect, land on the planet, and they were going to do their thing without having to need the transporter. The transporter was an idea that starts before production. It's a note they get from Desilu. They're like, it's not a practical model. It's really expensive. And it's going to bloat runtime every week. Do you really want to show this thing landing?
They got notes on both the saucer separation and the shuttlecraft, which they originally weren't going to use until they started figuring out stories to use the shuttlecraft. But when they initially went into production, there was no idea of having a shuttlecraft. It was just going to be the transporter, which I believe when they developed this story, that was shuttlecraft was not on the books.
Right. There's at this point, if they had made this episode 15 episodes later, we would have had explanation about atmospheric interference, high wind, or something that made the shuttles fail in a way that was believable rather than just forgetting about it. Because even as a kid, when you see these, you don't see them in order. When I saw this one come on out of order, I was just like, why wouldn't they just send the shuttlecraft?
Exactly.
It wasn't until I saw Empire Strikes Back that I got headcanon as to why the shuttlecraft didn't go down. It was too cold. But even then, like the sun hadn't gone down. It was like 80 degrees on the planet when the problem starts.
Yeah, it didn't really make sense until you go back and you just realize all the production stuff that was going on, stuff
The
being
thinking on the fly.
disqualified.
We have to give them actually a lot of credit for things like having a transporter and understand the blind spot that occurred when they didn't actually use the shuttlecraft. When you're writing the idea that the ship's going to do saucer sep in every episode and land, and the production company's like, bad model, bloated runtime, bad idea, come up with something else, and your idea is as brilliant of a fix as the transporter, you could be forgiven for not spending the time to remember that, oh, we would need a redundancy in case there was a power outage, just like in My Perfect Starship, a power outage. It does, you know what I mean? It's like you're on to writing the man trap, and you're not thinking about it because this is the first story that presents any kind of practical application. It's even possible that the shuttle was developed for Galileo 7.
I believe so. Until they started writing it into the stories, it was never thought of. And I believe Galileo 7 is the first one.
I think there was even something crazier than that. Didn't someone make like a spec prop for them and like show them some drawings, and they're like, we'll take that if you give it to us for free? And he's like, all I want to do is get into the business, right? And the shuttlecraft sort of a gift or something.
I believe the final design, they did at the start have a lot of designs for it, but when it became a cost issue, they said screw it and went with the transporter. But I do believe at a later date someone did sketch it out and just hand it over.
They got the schematics as a gift from one of their production people, or a fan sent it in. Well, not very important. The thing is, I would say this: with the lack of money and the budgetary thing and the second thoughts, wasn't AMT involved? That could be possible. When our experts arrive later, Sean's at his post. And Mark is, as we saw, priorities all wrong, spending time with the family on Star Trek night. That's what kept Ben Finney at the Academy, isn't it, Jerm?
I believe so.
Going home to Jamie every night to be a dad to her. Look how that worked out for him. If he hadn't have been thinking about it, like, things like his family, he probably would have closed off that circuit, and the atomic pile wouldn't have stayed open. But I digress, and we'll get to that episode later. Let's talk about what's on screen right now for the moment. William Shatner, for the second time in 2 episodes in a row for us as the audience. These were separated by a couple of episodes in production, but he has to play against type. I think the only reason this episode works is because he had 2 or 3 other episodes to exercise, like working on being the Captain Kirk he usually is. If you had thrown this at an actor as the 3rd story that he had to do, or 4th story he had to do, this is fucking confusing. This is highly confusing. You're telling the guy, we haven't really established your character yet, but go in there and go crazy.
I'm sure that's well within Shatner's wheelhouse.
Hey, it's Gavin. Hello, sir. It's good to see the Gavin unit. Gavin Blackburn is here. You might be right as far as the talent level goes. William Shatner does do a great job. We have fallen as fans into calling them good Kirk and evil Kirk. It's not really accurate. I guess positive and negative Kirk, or worldly Kirk versus unrestrained Kirk. I don't know how to put it. So the way I wrote it out was the first Kirk to transport up and second Kirk. So the first Kirk is the one who cooperates with McCoy and Spock, and he is much more composed. If, like, negative Kirk had come up first, there's no episode. He would have come flying off the transporter and attacked somebody, or looked so freaked out and reacted in such a paranoid way, McCoy would have medically relieved him of command. Spock would have been watching him. He would have made his way to the brig in about 15 minutes. He was acting like a crackhead as soon as we saw second Kirk appear, negative Kirk, anti-Kirk, whatever you want to call him. When the second Kirk appears, he is a totally different guy right away. And we're using dramatic lighting that is very much of the time.
Yeah, I'd go with id and ego Kirk, because that's essentially what they break down into.
Ego
So
would be ego would be a little bit confusing because it would make some people coming later possibly confused, or people who jump in the middle think that we're calling him egotistical. How about we go with primary Kirk, and what was the second one? Id Kirk.
yeah, or we can go with Green Kirk and Gold Kirk, which
Well, they
they
both
thought we
become Green
needed
Kirk.
to at the very end,
All right.
which was
So
apparently not their first idea, because when he initially beams up, they have intentionally removed the icon from his uniform.
I noticed the uniform didn't have the Starfleet logo on it when we first saw it, even though he was oriented towards us. I thought they were still designing on the fly.
They already have all the uniforms for him. They've featured both the green and the gold for Kirk in production order already. I believe their first idea was to feature him with the insignia for positive Kirk, no insignia for negative Kirk, but they may have shot some initial shots and decided, oh, let's just go with the green and the gold for the separate Kirks.
And people won't like have really dwelt on that 1 second we see him facing forward. He turns around fast enough and walks off that transporter pad. And he's in the weirdest position when he materializes as negative Kirk, but even positive Kirk, he's got like a bit of a headache. Like the transport didn't go well. When they beam up the crewman who's got the contaminants on him, that messes up the transporter, but he comes through okay. It's the second transport that doesn't go well. Again, if unrestrained Kirk comes through first and goes wild, they stun him and they figure it out in 20 minutes. There's no episode. So, fortunately for us as Star Trek fans, primary Kirk comes up first, and he's become Beta Kirk. It doesn't happen yet. What I noticed in this episode, watching it and making the video, was Kirk's restraint and ability to be a little more decisive starts to wane as the situation ratchets up more than over time. Like he regains some composure when the situation calms back down for a minute. He can think straight when things are calm, but when he gets rattled, he's like neurotic. Like he can't handle too many things at once, but one thing at a time, you'll still get a reliable Captain Kirk response, which I guess is why we have Spock sort of compensating for him. And him and Spock have like a talk right away once they realize this is happening, where Spock's like, you can't tell anybody about this.
Yeah, it's a great speech.
They don't
We get
stick
the
with it.
sense of the captain needs to be invulnerable to people, and they only drop that when people see both of them in the same place at the same time.
And also because it is just too much of a wild card to have the second Kirk running around, going crazy with all the same operational knowledge. Here's the thing that I explained in the narration. I'll just go over it again briefly. It is not good Kirk and evil Kirk. It is like restrained, humane Kirk and unrestrained, animalistic Kirk. In fact, later in the episode, one of the best lines is he's like, after he's told that he has to reintegrate with the other Kirk, he's like, I've seen the worst of myself, and I don't want to take it back within me. He's a horrible animal. It's amazing. William Shatner is amazing with his self-contempt as he looks over with disgust at the other Kirk.
Yeah, it was a good touch for most of the episode. There is some points where I would have liked them to pump up the negative Kirk a little bit, especially around the end. So he'd be maybe a little more civilized, so he'd not to make that side of him look so destructive and worthless. But for the
Or
most
to
part, they did a good job.
I think maybe they wanted to show that Captain Kirk possesses all human qualities in greater abundance, including greater self-control, and that might be a superpower.
That is possible. But the way they portrayed it, I would have liked them to put just a little bit more positive spin on the negative Kirk. It's like have him be the one to make the decision to recombine them.
At different points during the episode, both positive and negative Kirk have a little bit of I don't know how to put it. They have a little bit of a crisis of confidence, and each of them sort of collapses. Let me put my uniform on. Each of them sort of has a little bit of a breakdown. Positive Kirk has his breakdown, and he gets bolstered by Spock and McCoy. And we'll talk a little bit about one of the weirder things in this episode in a minute, but he gets bolstered by his friendship with Spock and McCoy, which is, developed across their time and space, which is now becoming somewhat considerable. I guess they're 6-8 months out there is the idea. We don't join them in the middle of their journey. They're fairly early on when we see the first episodes. So Captain Kirk is just starting to form, the close enough bond with his command crew. It's kind of developed in these first few episodes. And like in this episode where we see them fully gelled, they had the right characters playing the right amount of time in the last couple of episodes, but their relationship wasn't there yet. You understand what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, for the most part, the relationship is assumed until right now. This is, I believe, the first time they get significant time with Kirk and Spock, and then McCoy and Kirk, and at times Spock and McCoy interacting all on the same episode.
And of course, none of us will ever know if it's assumed looking back that this is how it was. We only have seen these shows mostly in their entirety. And I want to thank everyone who's coming in. Hello, Darth Plato. I see some new faces. Let me just take a moment out here and see if I can acknowledge a few of you wonderful people who've come through to help us out on our wonderful journey to the stars together. I see John the Beagle Dad has arrived. Darth Plato is here. Gavin is here. Great Seaman Gahan. Also, Mark Harkness, the Trek Reviewer, and the Dead Man remain with us. It's good to see all of you guys. Hello, sirs and madams. Welcome to Saturday night. It's Star Trek time. All right. Because he's still Captain Kirk, Negative Kirk gets it together fairly quickly. And as you said, it would have been kind of cool if at some point in this episode, Negative Kirk had the force of will to exert on himself, where he actually becomes like willful and compliant enough to hold it together and be of use in his own cause. That's basically what you're trying to say. And we just got a ping from the planet below. We should have someone beaming to the bridge right away. We're just adjusting our transporter because the last thing we would want would be 2 Seans or 2 JTs or 2 Marks. The time that we replicated that one show member that you guys haven't seen since, it didn't work when we tried to beam him back together. Sir! You're muted. Oh, no. Yeah, I cannot hear you yet. You seem to be muted, Sean. Although your mute icon's not on, so there might be something either on your gear or on your end. But we have visual but not audio with Sean Carter. Oh, no.
Is this back now? Are we good?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
There you go.
You're sounding great. All right, we haven't gotten deep into the episode yet, so I'm glad you got here. You know what? Give us your context on this one while I look for a better copy of my notes so I can get more organized.
Yeah, this is probably one of my least favorite episodes, to be honest. It's full of too many holes, too many plot holes that I noticed even when I was 12 years old. So, but it's got good stuff in it.
The Shuttlecraft being possibly the biggest one, right?
Well, that, and then, I mean, I'll get to it at the end, but I mean, there's just a lot of things from the tech solutions that they obviously had that they didn't implement. They could have beamed down a tent. They could have beamed down bricks. They could have beamed down anything. That, and then the way that they did the search for the imposter was ludicrous. You don't just blast out onto the ship. You get a few security teams and you brief them and you send them out. You bring in a few other security teams, you brief them and you send them out, and you do it quietly. And there's a lot of shit that they did wrong on this one.
Yeah, they really did do a few things wrong on this one. Although, you know what, the one thing that made us all feel better, I guess, because of course, from watching New Trek, you guys, there's a few things you guys don't know about us, including when the entire lineup of this show goes out on tour as Star Trek's version of Kiss, and we all cross-dress. That's gonna be great. So just
Admiral
like us,
Teague, incoming
Captain
super
Kirk
chat.
keeps makeup in his cabin, so in case he gets attacked assaulting someone.
Well, what else is he going to put on his
hey.
nipples? He has to have something to put on the nipples.
Sulu has bronzer on his nipples in this one. Hey, our good friend Welshie is here. Welshie says to us, this episode gets an A for scenery chewing by Shatner, but otherwise a C+ for me in the context of all TOS episodes. Dued Manuel Hawaii. I tried to do that in Welsh. It's okay. Don't bother. It's Welshie. It's the Welshie line in Futurama. Hello. Like, yeah, I think I remember what Welshie says before he dies. I think it means it was fun in Welsh. I Googled it. Because Scotty didn't want to be part of dinner theater. He was replaced by Welshie in Futurama. Turns out James Doohan thought singing and dancing was beneath him. All right.
You could replace
that. So much,
that
Welshie.
You could replace that weird language with ba weep grana weep nini ba.
Anything is better than the Rebecca Romanian we heard 2 weeks ago on New Trek. That was some of the dumbest. Total eclipse of the heart. Poor Bonnie Tyler. Scottish geologists made an amazing discovery this week. Did you hear about it?
No.
This news update brought to you by Welshie. CBS News Update. You know what? Scottish geologists have made an announcement through the University of Edinburgh that the body of Bonnie Tyler is spinning so fast in her grave since the broadcast of Total Eclipse of the Heart in Pig Latin Romanian by Rebecca Romain that it has enough centrifugal force to power the entire city. Their energy crisis is solved thanks to Alex Kurtzman. He can't cure or come up with a convincing hair replacement system, but he can cure the energy crisis in Edinburgh. Way to go. Way to go.
Yeah, and Darth Plato's right. This is one of the classics, and I agree, but two things can be true at the same time. It can be a classic, and it can also have a lot of stuff wrong with it.
The things that are wrong with it, I'm going to make an argument for right now, add up in this way. We have a show that is, it's at a weird spot, first of all, but what's going on is we have the benefit of having watched most of this before we were aware that shows had an arc and went in an order. I used to just come home from school and watch Spider-Man, Batman, and Star Trek. I would be the happiest kid in the face of the earth. You know what I mean? That was my life. I'd play with my friends for a little while and then, eat dinner. And then it was like Spider-Man, cartoon, then Star Trek and Batman and Star Trek. And it was great. So I think now we have to be generous and say to ourselves, look at these episodes they wrote. They didn't have the idea of having the shuttlecraft. My thought to Germ earlier was, we probably went to a place where we decided the best thing we could do was not have a shuttlecraft because we had a blind spot about the shuttlecraft, because what we did was we compromised rather than fought with the production company. A modern writer would have pulled out their cell phone and started just tweeting away that Lucille Ball was part of the oppressors and blah, blah, blah. And You know, Desi Arnaz, like he's not a real Latino because he's from Cuba and he's white. You know, there would have been all sorts of stuff going on, like identity politics, like and crazy shit, because like coming into play to get their way. If this had been Alex Kurtzman's idea, not that he could ever touch this on his best day, but what we got here is we look at this with retroactive knowledge. It wasn't a plot hole that they didn't have a shuttlecraft. It is now.
True.
My thought, you know what? This episode came to mind in the middle of watching Empire Strikes Back when I saw it the first time as a kid. I'm a little older than you, like critical time to understand that movie. I think you are as old as me seeing Star Wars as I was when I saw Empire. So maybe you understood it as much as I did.
But I was 6,
7, right? Okay, yeah. So you're the same age.
When did Empire come out? 82?
1980.
1980.
Yeah.
Oh man, I was 6.
Yeah, you and I are like exactly one Star Wars movie apart.
Okay.
We were the same age when the sequel came out, right? So you saw the first Star Wars movie the same age I saw my first Star Wars movie, but you saw Empire like at the, you know what I mean? So when you saw Empire, you were the same age when I saw Star Wars. Here's the thing: when I saw Star Wars for the first time, what came to mind was Star Trek, because the Death Star is the Doomsday Machine. We're talking about stuff like shields and tractor beams and all that stuff. That was my reference. And I was wondering why Kirk didn't help him out. In Empire Strikes Back, when they're on Hoth, when they say it's too cold for speakers, that's when it went through my mind what was going on with this episode as far as why they didn't send the shuttle. I'm like, that's why they didn't send the shuttle. They forgot to mention it. You know what I mean? You know, I was like at that point, I guess that would make me 12. So I was just like, yeah, like feeling pretty clever. I'm like, it was too cold for the Enterprise. The Galileo couldn't handle it. If these guys' stuff couldn't handle it, neither could the Galileo, because it's pretty obvious the Star Trek stuff is more advanced, but the Star Wars stuff can take more of a beating. Probably because it's not as advanced. But evil Kirk or
Negative side Kirk, yeah.
Negative Kirk, yeah, that's what I came up with too, is probably the most appropriate one. But to call the other one positive Kirk doesn't really work at all. Negative Kirk does fit this Kirk. The other one I would call restrained or humane Kirk.
Or Alpha and Omega Kirk.
Yeah, or Alpha and Beta Kirk, except that Alpha Kirk becomes Beta Kirk really quick. There's no good way to put it except the first one, the transport up, is affable and has enough self-control to not attack people, and he's the one who cooperates with Scotty and Spock. And then Crazy Kirk is the one running around, goes into sickbay, grabs McCoy by the back of the head and demands the brandy. I would point out at this point, he was just the replacement for Dr. Boyce and Dr. Piper. No one knew where this was going to go yet. No one knew where this was going to go yet. Gene might have had a vague idea that Spock and McCoy wouldn't get along, which makes sense because McCoy is very human and very... Yeah, hey, hello, Opinion Trader 1776. If it wasn't for 1776, it's Option Trader. Hello, Option Trader 1776. We wouldn't have those options if not for 1776 either. I was going to say we wouldn't have the freedom of those opinions, but we wouldn't have the right for those options either. We'd be paying endless taxes on, you know what? We'll revisit that later. Let's just say the tea's a lot cheaper than it would have been. So we're going to, Sean, you're muted. We're going to go for the Saurian brandy.
Is Option Trader new? I don't know if I recognize that name.
I haven't seen you here before, but welcome, Option
Welcome.
Trader. Good to see you.
I do believe he's been here at least once or twice. I do recognize the name.
Was he traded Kivas and Trillium before?
I believe he's a friend of, since you brought up the word, I believe he's a friend of Kivas Vajo, who was named after Kivas, I'm sure, because of his value. The collector from great episode, The Most Toys, which is not so much the greatest episode ever written. It's just one of my favorites because it's so much fun early on. They actually remembered Star Trek's supposed to be fun sometimes early on when they kept forgetting it. All right,
it was fun and still had a little science fiction philosophical twist at the end too.
That one, yes. They
with Data's decision.
Yeah, they didn't abandon intellect to have fun, but they remembered maybe we should have a little fun too. It might be an okay idea. So Kirk starts doing something that Captain Kirk would never do. Belting down booze, walking down the hall of his ship looking like a droogie. He'd remembered his Kubrick. Hello, Tetrarch. Good to see you. He'd remembered his Kubrick, and he knew that, like any good Kubrickian person, he now needs to find his way to Janus, which he's going to do pretty quick. He's walking around the saucer section, and this is when we need to point out he knows everything about the ship that the other Kirk does, because he's just as much Captain Kirk as the other Captain Kirk. It's just that there's no working with, talking to, or reasoning with this Captain Kirk. By the way, Sean,
what do you expect from a belligerent drunk?
You know what, Sean? Jerem brought this up. I'd love to hear your reaction to this one. He was talking about the two different Kirks and what makes them who they are. Jerem, could you re-explain
it? For like the assertiveness?
Yeah, the assertiveness part.
Yeah,
I'd like to get Sean's reaction.
Two, while assertive, he should have been the one to make the decisions. Kirk 1 should be sitting there lamenting his men on the planet, not being able to decide to recombine. They should have had Kirk 2 strapped to the bed and yelling that they'll do it, and he wasn't going to die for the first one's cowardice.
Mm-hmm.
So just let him be the one to have the wherewithal to make the decisions, since the other one wasn't able to do that. Show that Kirk 2 actually had some use, because the way they portray him as an animal, that he doesn't, none of those qualities are going to help Kirk in the future.
Well, they do, but yeah, I hear what you're saying. Like, they should have made him a little bit more like chiming in with an opinion or something.
Yeah.
Or able to focus enough to act human, right?
Yeah, or say, what are you doing? You fool, you got to do this. You know, like, yeah.
Yeah,
that's a good
something.
one.
They treated him like an animal instead, like an it almost. They talked about him in the third person. It was nothing redeeming about him at all. There's nothing, and there was some those traits he have are positive traits. They're just, when unchecked, they're not. You know, his decisiveness, his quick thinking, that kind of thing, creativity seemed to be.
They hadn't nuanced it. It was a bigger idea than they were able to work with yet, right?
Yeah, but you notice the creative side was the negative Kirk. He thought to do make up the scratches. He thought to change the uniform, you know, all that kind of thing. He was just a little bit unbalanced with it, but the quick thinking and creative thinking outside the box was him.
We got people
They should have. And you know what? I think that awful episode of Voyager where B'Elanna gets split up, they end up working together in that episode. You guys remember?
Yeah.
That's what they should have done here. That would have been cool. But they probably didn't have the technology to make, you know, it was hard to put them in the same frame, and they had to do that weird split screen and stuff. It was really hard to get them to interact.
They did a great job when they had to take the camera and spin from one to the other. You can barely see the cut, and it's in HD now. You probably couldn't see it at all back then. And I wonder, I honestly wonder, Sean, do you think the editor was even able to see it? He's like, I can't see it. They won't be able to see it, right?
Probably
like,
not.
We probably have a better view than the actual editor these days. It still looks fantastic. Now, JT, unfortunately, is on a very dangerous away mission. He's on a very dangerous planet where, you know, we hope to have him recovered by next week. But you know what? He was a little bit taken aback by the way they were lighting things. And he had a lack of familiarity with that early 60s kind of lighting technique, and how Jerry Finnerman was even a little bit of an innovator with it. And the only thing I'm going to say, and I don't want this to be taken the wrong way, and like, you know, I disabled clipping on this show, so fuck you if you think you can. But the one thing that I thought about And I spent a lot of time thinking about it when I was like, there has to be one good thing about Trek 09. I don't know if you'd necessarily call this good, but this was the only positive I came up with. Continued to experiment with light in a Star Trek-like way. I didn't like what they did, but they had a dedication to continuing that. I was like, okay, they understood a little. Maybe there is hope for another move for the second movie. Maybe they did understand it a little bit. Like,
and they did throw an homage. They did throw the homage to the 60s lighting. Yeah, they lit Pike in that way, just subtly, and it was pretty cool to see.
But yes, unfortunately, it was only done as a member berry. We used to have Easter eggs.
It was a subtle member berry, though. It was, you had to be a deep fan to have caught that. like you really had to be a big fan. I thought it was okay. I don't see it as a member berry. Member berries are in your face.
I just wanted to correct my good friend Darth Plato here. I think we both have a wrench on. Is it Lance? There's a channel or two where we both have a wrench. It's good to see Darth Plato. Darth Plato, my friend.
Is that Dana's older brother?
I believe it's Dana's father. You know, Dana, I am your father. No, I don't know. Darth, stand to be recognized. Tell us your name, lore. You've been here long enough. You're allowed to. Anyway, Darth Plato says the Tribble is Admiral Teague's spirit animal. Now, if you've been watching your new Trek, you'd know that you're only partially correct. It is the attack Tribble. Sean still with the monochrome.
I got the avatar.
Yeah, thank you for doing that, man. You know what?
Sure.
Those shorts are doing extra terrible because no one understands why they're implying.
No one understood that episode at all.
No one understands our shorts either. Like, I'm going to say for you, our audience, it was fun to go to black and white because the episode was so stupid. But yeah, it confused the hell out of YouTube's the people of those of YouTube. Hello, Headcase. Hello, Darth Plato.
I'll see you, Headcase.
I'm sorry. A panel to go to. You have to. That just means that we get a video on demand and watch later. You know, check it out later. We're gonna make some more great jokes. We're gonna do some more great analysis. We're actually pretty much on schedule too, because even though we're early in the slideshow, a lot of the setup is done. This is something Kirk would never do: roam around the ship drinking. He would never let his crew see him like this. If the crew had a bar, different story. But he wouldn't be drinking hardcore liquor, or if he did just one, he would be the guy who went in who had just one stiff drink, or like just like 2 beers and watched like I don't know, the Ambujitsu competition. Didn't think I'd be able to rescue that comment, did you?
Hey, it is the most advanced form of martial arts ever devised.
I just like the weird nonsense words that people yell at each other before they start to fight. So the various crew members see this Captain Kirk. He hasn't seen Janice yet, but he's in her quarters smelling her panties and doing other messed up shit. And
there's the nipple Kirk, foundation.
They're trying to cover his nipples as much as possible, but when his hands do move as he moves the towel around, we see his nipple and it has some foundation on it. What can I tell you, folks? I mean, one day someone as lucky as the guy who got to restore Sigourney Weaver's pubes on this special edition of Alien is going to get to take the foundation off of Captain Kirk, and we're going to see his nipples in their true glory. No, I think they should leave the foundation on.
Can you imagine the poor makeup artist who had to apply that on his things there? I'd be like, no, it tickles to stop.
Oh, just be lucky they didn't have HR departments back then. He would have been fired by episode 6.
It's funny you should say that because there's an HR department like sort of situation in this episode a little later. But okay,
yeah. So, well, Spock, Gene Roddenberry would have been in jail too.
Spock has had to go speak to Kirk about the reports of a whacked out version of him around the ship, drinking, yelling at people, kicking people's ass. basically living his best life. Some of this might be the stuff we see in The Naked Time, where he's like, no beach to walk upon, no gold braid upon my shoulder. Like, part of Captain Kirk, way in the back of his mind, is overly upset about the responsibility and the life that he gave up to be Captain Kirk, even though he could never do anything else. It's that small part of Captain Kirk that, so like, I would call it a writing inconsistency if it wasn't for something called the exception that proves the rule. Some small part of Kirk has regrets that he didn't stay home and be a small-time Iowa farmer who took no risks. What can I tell you? It makes sense. So like that core insecurity comes out in Naked Time, and it's showing up a little bit here. That I think that no gold braid upon my shoulder, no beach to walk upon stuff, it's really heartfelt in Gene's mind to Captain Kirk. And William has nothing else to work with but Gene, what Gene and him talk about, and the scripts that Gene and the writers give him. So he's like, well, I just know that I, read the script about having a gold braid on my shoulder bothering me. Perhaps everything is bothering me even now. So when I beam up unrestrained, it all falls off, because he beams up and turns this from, he elevates this. And it took me a long time to realize it, but this is just Jekyll and Hyde in space.
Yeah.
He is excellent. His Hyde is excellent.
Oh yeah.
He would play.
He plays both sides of the character really well.
35-year-old William Shatner playing Jekyll and Hyde would have been something.
That'd have been a good one-man play.
I would have paid a lot of money to see the part where he says monsters are the most interesting people.
That's true.
All right. So
I'm sure he's played Jekyll and Hyde at some point in his very long career.
He must have. Watch it have been in the cartoon. Or like dinner theater when he was living in the van. At any rate, Captain Kirk puts on his green command tunic and starts talking to Spock about how he's definitely not got anything to worry about. He's been here alone, and we saw Kirk crash out. He was a wreck. It was like, that planet sucked. Like he felt like shit when he got back to the ship, and he crashes out within minutes of getting there. In fact, here's our buddy Captain Kirk when he got back from the planet. He knocks over some of his data tapes, falling down into bed. He's not a wreck, but you can tell it took some force of will just to get back there, walking with Scotty, who picked up on his captain's problem and spotting for him. And Kirk sort of quietly acknowledges it. And even the tech walks as far as the door and a few steps down the hallway before he gets ambushed by evil Kirk, where it's just like, wait a minute. Weren't you just here? And Kirk just sort of, drops into bed and he's out of it. So he's down for the count in a way that we see Riker have a problem with in a couple of episodes. The one where he keeps getting kidnapped. Schisms, right? It's like can't sleep. I'm always tired. They do that with Riker a couple of times. I guess it's the strength with Jonathan Frakes' acting is he's able to act like, irritable, or he's able to stop acting and be himself and be irritable. But William Shatner falls into bed here as Captain Kirk, and he is out of it. So our story here is we have a series of problems on the bridge. We've contacted Sulu on the planet. He's a little worried. Excellent acting by William Shatner here. He looks like he really wants to get George Takei off that planet. Now, I would say good acting by George Takei, looking like he trusts Shatner to get him off of there. But remember, he's supposed to look worried, and George Takei knows in his heart that William Shatner wouldn't have beamed him off that planet. Mark Harkness says, who do you guys think Batman's Two-Face is? He's Jekyll and Hyde. And who do you think guys think Batman's Two-Face is? He's Jekyll and Hyde, active in the same moment. And Great Shatner did that character.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? You're right. You're right. I read
Yeah.
that like shit. I didn't actually read that badly. How'd you guys like my imitation of the quartering?
Are you gonna go start filming mothers at a fair now?
No, but I do know somebody who's falling apart and lying and going crazy and reporting channels so fast, but is so much bigger than the quartering that we're going to have to call him the halving. Anyway, this creature that they beamed up from the planet we saw when the crewman fell, it is native to the planet. It is not just a dog in a costume with a unicorn horn at all. And it was at least alive. They didn't have a budget. I don't know what to tell you except that this dog was alive and moving. The costume was seamless enough on regular TV. It looks how it looks now. I'm not trying to be apologistic. I'm telling you, unless you want to go drive down to like the thrift store, buy a cathode ray TV, get a DVD player and play this. You don't have any real authority. And I mean, yeah, maybe it's a Mandela effect for me too. I'm not going to lie, but I think this was a little bit more passable. It always looked silly. It always looked silly. It just didn't look fake. The dog convinced me. Yeah. Thank you, Gavin. Did Admiral Teague maybe have a cold the night this episode came on and like, but his father, who was a New York City cop, was like, drink the entire bottle of Robitussin, Teague. You'll enjoy it. It's the least annoying my kid's been all month. And guys, if you got a membership or something, spam some emojis, wake up the chat a little bit. Let's get some quality engagement. We got like 13 people out there. Sorry, I'm a little dyslexic, but we have a bunch of people out there. Do me a favor, like, just hit the like and follow, help us get the 30 and help get the word out. Last week we had fantastic results. I'm cutting up video all week. I think I'm going to have time to do it this week. And let's, is Krimlon out there? Someone's greeting Krimlon. Krimlon!
Oh no, I thought that I just put it because it was rainbow.
Well, I mean, yeah, our gay battle cry is just to scream Krimlon before we attack. All right,
I didn't even know that said Kremlin. My eyes are so bad.
I know, right? That's why, like, Admiral Teague look like he's being Gary Mitchell, like in The Snob. No, it's because on progressive glasses, the bottom part is like the part for close-up reading. It's not that I'm too good to be here. I love all of you, and I'm so glad you're here. Let's talk more about this fantastic episode. So we take this weird-ass best we could do, oh well, kind of like it's Lucille Ball's dog, and we drug it up, and we're dealing with it.
You can just leave this screenshot up all night.
Yeah, this was an easy screenshot to choose. Janice is in her cabin. We've already seen Janice and Kirk interact. Kirk is there, and she's sitting on his bed, like playing with his shit and doing some of his work for him. And she's got some stuff in case he needs it. She's anticipated some of his needs. And you know what? Starfleet seems like they're ready to, like, in the Starfleet novels, like Gene's view of Starfleet, especially the motion picture novel, the only one I give value to because he has direct feedback. And I realize he's talking to Alan Dean Foster all the time, but you know, Star Trek, the motion picture, he writes the script, he writes the movie, he co-writes the novel, he has editor's notes in it out of context from the narrative to explain things that are like in Starfleet, they like, in his mind, like Starfleet kind of tries to control your life and like emotionally manipulates you. Who knows if Starfleet in Gene's mind, like his like very Philip K. Dick manner of sci-fi that where he introduced like psychological stuff into it and some sort of like, and understood like the power of beautiful women the way people like maybe had underutilized before. You know, Janice in her cabin, like, has already greeted Kirk when he came back from the away mission. And it's like, Janice, I appreciate it, but I'm bushed. Just get out of here. I'm going to crash out for a while. I'll catch up to you later. We'll have a conference. And she's like, okay, Captain, you know, let me know if I can do anything. And she goes back to her cabin and she's just, you know, whatever, you know, she's got a rat tail comb and she's doing up her beehive and she's got to sing for the Supremes tonight and, you know, whatever, backing up the B-52s. And that's when Kooky Kirk comes in, and I decided this would be a great moment to capture it. Kooky Kirk is out of his mind. He's got the bottle in his hand. He's lurching around. He's menacing her, and she's still mildly receptive. This was just very much 1966. It seems a little crude to some people now. I think someone born in 1974, like Alex Kurtzman, should have had some context. Was he completely sheltered? Was he like have some kind of hippie parents who didn't let him watch TV till he was 15? Because he certainly writes like that. He seems to be. There's a man who has never seen the Rockford Files. Okay, that's all I want to say. Oh hey, I got something on the screen. Sean, are you at the Tactical Control Council?
Admiral Teague, incoming super chat.
Welshie, our good friend with a $10 New Zealand super chat says, serious questions about no need to respond. I just think about it. To do all of TOS will take 74 more weeks. So about a year and a half. Will you consider alternating between TOS, TNG, Deep Space Nine episodes each week? Here's the deal. We can't do one episode of TOS after another, week after week. So we are going to do that, and we have done it already. Here's what we're going to do. The next tangent where we do sidetracked for a few weeks to make sure that we don't get kicked off the air will last 4 to 6 weeks, or it's not worth doing it, right? We have to make it look good enough to pass muster. It's still Star Trek, but it's got a different show name, different kinds of thumbnails, and it's got a different approach, and we're pretty good at modulating styles. So the next one I think is going to be androids and AI, and it doesn't matter if we've covered the show before because it's part of a larger arc. These are specials. They're not constrained to the time compliance, although we're not going to go crazy. They might even be shorter. Who knows? We've covered some of them before. But like androids and AI would be like, what are little girls made of? Ultimate computer, doomsday machine. Also, maybe brothers and one more. You know what I mean? Something from if we have a Deep Space Nine or Voyager with a synthetic life form. But I think it sort of ends with Zoom-type robots. So Next Generation might be the end of that arc. But
we got some Voyager ones.
We do have some Voyager ones. You're right, but I don't think it touches Deep Space Nine ever.
Not really.
And then the one after that worth playing is Doppelganger, and there's ones in all of that, which means we get to do Deep Space Nine, Dark Side again. I think this time we're going to write. But by the time we go back to negative universe Deep Space Nine, we're going to do. Sean and I will have worked out a way to do a in two voices version of On the Dark Side, but we'll sing as right side Cisco and negative side Cisco in two different voices. We'll have some fun with that one. But listen, back to the episode, and you know what? We don't mind.
We have
not really
regular Cisco and photo negative Cisco.
Enjoy these wonderful transitions that we're doing for you here. Here's the deal. We can't keep constantly taking comments. The idea is make the chat one full member of the show, give you guys about as much space as everyone else. We're constantly looking to engage, and we'd love to see some more comments. We also like that you guys are letting us keep the conversation up and are brisk, and you're talking between yourselves. So you know what? It's almost a perfect mix. As you've seen, there are certain forces at work, our overlords here, so to speak, who want certain things. They want a high count of hours. They want a certain kind of show that's not repetitive. They want you to not be a one-trick pony. So we will have to indulge what Welshie says here, as well as check out my new show coming, The Rockford Files with Germ.
I love The Rockford
Yeah,
Files.
that's going to be entertaining. Rockford Files is a little bit different than I remember it.
Sean, sir, Rockford Files is upload only. Do you want to be on the Rockford Files show? We can
keep
time for that
keep me
one.
apprised.
It's upload only.
I started watching it again not too long ago, and then I stopped. But I've seen the
first
first
3 episodes are amazing. They're great, but you have to
Yeah.
see them in order. They make no sense. Episode 3 is batshit if you think it's episode 1.
Yeah,
All right.
the last one I watched was where they go to Vegas and there's that helicopter going after them. It was pretty cool.
I
He
didn't
just-
get up to that
he
one.
just shoots
Oh wait,
the fucking helicopter.
it's a small plane. It's a small plane.
Oh, the small plane. Right.
Small plane.
Okay.
That's
The thing is, they show it as a lucky shot. He gets it twice in the engine. I'm sorry, he gets it. Twice in the hydraulics.
Oh, that was the premiere. It was like a two-parter, right?
Yeah.
And it had the
Yeah,
bionic
yeah.
woman in it. It was Lindsay
Yeah.
Wagner was the chick, and then
Yeah.
they have a really beautiful girl who someone said was the Kodak photo girl. She's really pretty. Is in the first proper episode, and she recurs a couple of times.
Yeah, and that
But,
poor
Lindsay
justice of the
Wagner.
peace gets whacked. That poor
Yeah,
that poor guy.
and they fire his father, and he gets a new dad by episode 3. But that show is awesome. We'll talk more about it later. So the episode, I'm going to tell Sean the name.
Any television show that shows smoggy Los Angeles in its 1970s and 80s glory is a win. Columbo did that. Rockford Files did that. There's the smog, and you know it's going to be a good show.
Sean, sir, it's still a secret, but take a look at the name of our detective show. It's in the private chat.
In back.
Oh.
In line with Teague branding. Pretty good, right? As good as any other one. All right, guys.
That would be how you pronounce it.
Slightly looser hangout feel. We might go just a little over 2 hours because that was a little bit of a long tangent, but let's redirect and let's get through this episode. Although we're not far behind our usual pace. You know what? I love that we have techs who wear identifiable real world looking costumes. They become fewer and fewer as we start producing more and more hero costumes, and that's appropriate. But right now, this ship, we're on the ship a lot, and these seem to be like a lot of people's ship uniforms. For it's like you and I would have 3 uniforms if we were Starfleet. We would have our dress uniforms, and we wouldn't have I would have a ton of like gummies and like guitar picks on mine, and yours would look like Jackson Roy Kirks and whatever. We would all have our uniforms, but we would also have our regular uniforms, and I of course would have a selection of tunics, and then we would probably all have these. These strike me as your Starfleet fatigues, where you go out there and you beat them up and get dirty. And it's like, it's my day to go do, Jeffrey's tube maintenance. I've got to go make sure that the parts of the ship that clean themselves are still working. You know what I mean? And climb around in there. You probably have an outfit like that too. I bet everyone has that and uses it for certain duties. Or there are people who just never put on Starfleet uniforms. That's a quick question about how things work on this very much alive ship. Until season 3, guys, we're gonna have a lot of extras and a lot of crew. What do you guys think of the coveralls? Everyone's got some and they wear them sometimes, or there's technical crew dedicated, or a little of both?
It's supposed to be technical, the enlisted. So if O'Brien was in this time, that's what he'd be wearing. He wouldn't get the actual officer's uniform. But the coveralls for everybody makes a little more sense.
It could have been dependent on their job though, Germ, because I know on aircraft carriers, there's guys that are petty officers and stuff, but if they're on the flight deck, they're wearing specific colored uniforms to let them know what they do. So it could be that. But yeah, if didn't O'Brien wear things like that occasionally, if he was working? I think I remember him wearing an outfit or two like that.
He may have had a jumpsuit or something that he had in early episodes of Trek that wasn't a Starfleet uniform when he's crawling around, but yeah, I'm not positive.
But it very well could have been that
I know what you're talking about.
Working in the ship would have been that. Yeah,
I think that's the reason we justify getting rid of the tech uniform for almost everybody and having regular duty uniforms for most people. But it would seem like by the end of the show, the lore becomes you've got your tech uniforms and your enlisted people. Everybody's got a regular Starfleet uniform with more or less, pips on it. If you got 0 pips, you're this guy. And if you're this guy, but you're a captain, you've got like, I don't know, something just that says captain across the back, like in the Navy, where the captain just wears a baseball hat that says captain. There's a functional element. The color coding makes sense.
It could have been budgetary too, because if you notice those tunics or those whatever those guys are wearing, they're very loose, and they would fit a lot of different people. Where that like Kirk's uniform, they had to be tailored for each cast member. So
He's
it could have
got a
been
hero
like,
uniform, but I'm with you.
yeah, I mean, because if they were wearing just they couldn't keep basic Starfleet uniforms in stock for every size of person. But I do like
what?
It does show a difference in role.
I just need to take a moment out here, and we had a little bit of a surge. So let's thank everyone here. We got some new arrivals, but here with us, we got Mark, the Tetrarch of Apathy. We got Critically Thinking and Drinking. Hello, sir. CTD 1880. Join his channel. PCAT 2385. Hello, PCAT. It's great to see you. Great support of the channel. See you next Tuesday. Welcome back, my friend, to the show that is on every Saturday. Radioactive Actual has joined the chat. Buddy Hepburn, the Real Headcase, Sci-Fi Sith Dad. Hello. The great Simon Gohan. John the Beagle
Admiral
Dad,
Teague,
Sean
incoming super
Carter, Gavin Unit, Option Trader 1776. And you know what? Trading options is what this nation's capitalism is built on. Darth Plato, Phantom Outsider 6488, the Trek Reviewer, Mark Harkness, the Dead Man 79, and RRTNZ. I want to thank all of you, friends one and all, whether you have cloaked or decloaked. And if you've just gotten here, we are in the midst of Naked Time. I'm sorry, in the midst of Enemy Within. We don't have a poll up today because I couldn't think of a question. You know what? And also because I was really late of us on the poll. Fisher interrupts Kirk as he's trying to rough up Rand. Now, Evil Kirk's priorities are correct. Fisher runs away, so he keeps beating on Rand because he's all about, like, you know, he wants some. So, like, he's super focused, and Fisher starts calling for help, and that's when Evil Kirk realizes that makes the creative, as Sean would say, decision to go over there and beat down Fisher and stop the distress call. I'd point out that you don't need to give your name, rank, and serial number if you're calling in an emergency. You just go emergency, and they're like, who is this? You know, as people run towards your location, we'll find out later. Just say emergency, a little bit of clunky dialogue, but it seems very military and very proper. There's no real calling it out. It's just that we've had enough time, and, you know, it's our job to find things in these episodes that are a little bit inconsistent. I wouldn't call it so much an inconsistency as a little bit strange choice by Fisher, but you know what? He just saw Janice, so maybe his brain is scrambled, and he thinks Captain Kirk is drunk or crazy, which has got to be a weird experience on this channel. I'm sorry, on this ship. So Kirk is speaking to Janice, comforting her about the experience, and this is not real Kirk. This is affable Kirk. This is restrained Kirk. This is humane Kirk. And he has a very humane response. And he's so mild. And Janice says something that she doesn't even need to say that I think was cut out of, I think it was in the part of the episode. This part of the episode had the 30-second cutout. I think there's a 30-second cutout and 90-second cutout in episodes. Is that what it was? I think this part of the episode may have had the shorter cutout, because there's a cutaway to Janice that you could live without where she goes, "Oh, Captain, I wouldn't have said anything, but," which I was like, that wasn't really necessary. That was a little weird. Maybe it's because it's not in the shorter episodes that were shown in some cities and it was new to me. So I get to see about 1 minute of new Star Trek every once in a great while. And it's always great. But this one was like, I don't remember that, and it's weird. But she's reassured by much more complacent Kirk. I don't want to call him Kurtzman Kirk because he's still a lot cooler than anything on Kurtzman Trek, but he certainly is showing some Pike like SNW traits here where he's like, I would never do that. I would never tell a woman what to do. He's very mild. He's starting to get more timid, but he's assertive about the fact he's innocent, and in certain situations he's able to focus. And Kirk and Spock are sort of backing him here, and Janice is reassured that she's at least safe, and the imposter theory is now out there. Oops, sorry, folks. We can linger on that for a moment. It's time, with the now somewhat working transporter, to see what we can do with, maybe beaming down the dog. We got a few more minutes before we can make this work. Kirk has a moment to think about it. He makes a log entry, and we see him here. And I thought this was pretty good acting by Captain Kirk. He's wordless in the scene, but he's narrating. There's some fantastic Star Trek music. We've just about got it all together. The music is kicking on 5 out of 6 cylinders. There's still some things that are different and not exactly as we remember them, but it's great. I thought it was a good log entry. The chair is where I want it to be. This is what I want to see when I sit down in my command chair. Sean, Germ, sirs, your thoughts on the command chair and William Shatner playing weak in the same episode where he had just played over the top strong.
Go for it, Germ. And Admiral, I
It's a very strong shot.
Go ahead, Sean, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. I put a sample, a good idea for the poll question in the private chat.
Thank you, sir. Germ, go ahead.
It's a very strong shot. He at least looks like he's well in command and still has his faculties about him. So it's very well shot. The upward angle there, I think they did that more because they're going to have a couple of shots that are more direct later on. So they wanted something different, but it's a good change of pace.
Yeah, I like it too. I like the overhead shot. We get to see all the buttons on the console.
It is pretty cool.
It was like we don't ever really get to see that, like all of his options, all his little buttons and doodads and everything. It's pretty cool. Oh, here we are.
You know what? Sean's question is a good suggestion. So I'm going to type out the poll. Sean, I'm going to give you the con for a moment and ask you to talk to Germ. And then when you guys have finished, cue me, and I'll give you my answer about how I feel about this scene where the two Kirks unite. Sean, take the con.
Well, this is the scene where I think negative Kirk seems to be dying, and he's slipping fast, and Kirk comes in with the compassion and the courage side that McCoy points out later, and he says, "Hold my hand, don't let go." I thought that was pretty cool because we see him calm down. We see him kind of realize like there's a moment there where they're connecting in some way. I don't know if it's telepathy or what, but it's a cool moment. And also I notice in this, the way he's holding his hand in unification, Kirk holds Spock's hand almost the same way here. And in the motion picture, when Spock's in the bed after he goes out on that spacewalk. What do you think, Germ?
It's a very common way when it's supposed to be more of a masculine handhold, because we don't really see the single hand then clench stuff until actually the 80s, more of the Arnold thing. This was more common in the 60s.
So it's the thumb wraparound, type of thing. And then
it's an early version of the Bill Clinton hand hug.
Yeah, but there's that reassurance of putting over the top too. And it looks like someone on, I don't know if that's William Shatner or another person, but they have some nice nail polish there. That pinky's got
everybody gets a little bit of gloss.
Yeah.
They have a good hand match, by the way.
It is. They had a good match for the entire. They had I'm not really sure how to pronounce his last name, but Donald Etherberg or
Was that the stunt
He
double?
was the body double for this episode. He is also the
Oh.
navigator in Charlie X.
I'm sad to say
okay.
there doesn't seem to be. Oh, okay. I'm sad to say there doesn't seem to be a error in spelling in tonight's poll. However, there's an error in tensing, and it's written in idiot. So I am the writer of the poll. Sean inspired it, but I changed the question just a bit. What does Enemy Within tell us most about Kirk? This is a question for you, our beloved audience. Sirs, madams, what does Enemy Within tell us most about Kirk? Mentally very strong, has a deeply unrestrained id, is played by a truly great actor. Like the stream, see the results.
Well,
we love you all.
That
Take a
was
moment,
given.
and it's that. You know what? The thing is, the character traits can be so much more overriding in this particular episode than the performance.
That is true.
So I'm going to give our audience a chance to say, is the writing taking this one, or is the acting elevating the writing? Now, I'm going to say here, when both are good, it is not that as hard as it is when one is terrible. For no one is carrying anyone. This is a synergistic thing where the acting snaps into the writing, snaps into the world, snaps into the situation like a bunch of Legos. This is perfect stacking here. I'm loving Kirk. He's so strong as the good, willful person. By the way, I would just begs the question: if Beta Kirk dies, would the Kirk remaining, the good Kirk, the Kirk who has the restraint, would he learn to be mean and ruthless again, or would he remain too mild? Like Spock would take him aside and beat him up or something. It's like, Captain, we have authorized a group of security men to bully you on a regular basis. This will harden you and give you the ability to make it. I don't know what would he do.
Yeah, and if you guys, if you agree with all the options on that poll, which is it's likely I do, just pick the one that is maybe the most impactful on the episode.
These polls are about feelings. The grades were more binding. These are all A's. There's no point in having any of these episodes graded. We may introduce grades for the questionable episodes, like how does this rate on a normal Trek matrix outside TOS, right? Because then The Children Shall Lead is like an average Voyager episode.
And Spock's brain.
Spock's brain is still bad for Voyager, but Patterns of Force is like one of the better episodes of Voyager. Patterns of Force, it's like Kirk doesn't try to start fucking Malakon, you know what I mean? It's like Janeway would have been like,
well, from what we saw.
Well, young Kirk and John Gill were the ones with the relationship. Clearly, because it was like, his son and toxins, just like the ones he gave me at the academy. What's that, Captain? Nothing, Spock.
Yeah, and hail D Pool 799.
Hey, D
grew
Pool,
up on Trek.
Welcome to the show. Syndication Generation, welcome to the show. You know what? As a member of our fleet, you become a Starfleet officer. However, all of you who are members are captains. That is the entry rank. You are a captain, and you get to be pilot of whatever ship from whatever franchise you want. This is the coolest fleet ever. It's a multi-franchise fleet, Sean. We have Borg cubes. We have the Lost in Space ship. We have 8 or 9 ships from Battle of the Planets. We've got a whole bunch of ships from Space Battleship Yamato's, different incarnations, Battlestar Galactica. We've got 2 Pegasuses. We're the only Star Trek fleet that has more battle stars than you ever saw in Battlestar Galactica.
Pegasus.
A flight of Vipers. We have Pegasi. That was the best, most convincing part of Clash of the Titans original. I thought that the Pegasus was amazing.
Hello,
D Pool. Or is it D Pool? Welcome yourselves. We are welcomed. Welcome to me.
Welcome, Admiral Zeke. Welcome, Germ.
Welcome, Doctor. All right, guys.
Captain Kramer, Captain Maxwell, Captain Kramer.
It's good to see everybody. Okay, so Kirk is giving strength in this case to himself. The experiment with the transporter
Oh, that
worked.
poor
The
dog.
transporter was fun, but it wasn't really a dog. And you know what? What we found out about these particular animals when they went back to the planet was they preferred Kurtzman Trek, all had bad breath, and carried a knife. So this was no great loss. It was a horrible creature. It got what it deserved. At any rate, they accidentally euthanized the dog, and they are going to do a medical exam. They want to know what's going on. And Kirk is becoming progressively indecisive. He has absolutely lost his edge. He is not Starfleet, but he is not Starfleet Command ready. But Spock and McCoy are watching him. Now, later on in the series, McCoy and him would have had a quick moment where he said to him, "You know what? Maybe you shouldn't be in command. If I see you straying over the line, I'm going to act." But it's very early in the series, and I don't think we've had any conversations like that within the framework of this crew in broadcast era. Someone might have said something to Pike about how he wasn't going to relieve him because he hates being captain of the Enterprise, to which I say, relieves the Doctor too. But the transporter malfunction, we covered that. The creation of the two Kirks, it was a full split from the beginning. The parallel split of the dog-like animal specimen, docile versus vicious, confirmed the dual personality effect. The second Kirk's assault on Yeoman Rand and the subsequent ship-wide hunt for the imposter is taking up a lot of this episode. We see a lot of that. The experiment is second to there is chaos on what's supposed to be a functioning military-like vessel. The decision to keep the transporter offline, stranding the landing party, is the lethal cold sets in. This is some of William Shatner's acting. He looks truly concerned for George Takei, but he didn't have to do much acting when he had to be reminded that he had forgotten all about the fact that the landing party would die when he was worried about the dog and procedure and the transporter. After the dog is brought back, Kirk is hurt and almost moved to tears by the fact the animal has not survived. They bring it back to sickbay, and Spock is already starting to have some hypothesis. One hypothesis he expressed earlier was that it would be fascinating or one hypothesis he's about to express is it would be fascinating to keep the two halves of Captain Kirk apart,
Admiral
just
Teague,
to see what it
incoming
did
super
for
chat.
science. Radioactive Actual says, "Give me the brandy." Oh, I wish I still had that video. That was the video Tony made. But you know what? We haven't played any video tonight, and I believe that the greatest fleet in space has earned some of the great media assets that we have taken the time to create for you. Let's start with a favorite.
Sir, steam is better.
Sir, honestly, the dogs are better.
Sir, I have the man. Sir, my name is Razor. $1 billion, sir. $1.1 billion, sir.
Sir, he has a cold. Don't shake his head.
Sir. Sir.
By the way, a major victory for the Steam faction today. We're going to be putting a regular Steam catapult onto the carrier.
Yeah.
Well, one thing after reading the article, this is my criticism, because it's going to cost a fortune to retrofit the one it's already on, because the catapult's like 70% done or some shit like that. Just on the future ones have redundancies, but maybe two energy cores might not be a problem. I would have to study that one more deeply. But Steam won today, guys. We're going to have Steam catapults on our aircraft carriers from now on. We will no longer need to call Albert Einstein.
A Terran who doesn't know the rules.
Sir, we have to take orders.
Well, we'll see to it that he learns them. What's your designation?
Sir, could you give us a name?
Bashir, Julian.
Sir, my name is Razor. Sir.
Is that a joke?
Sir, would you please sign this order?
No jokes.
Sir.
All right, Radioactive, thank you so much. You know what? Well, yeah, he's been so great. Let's give everybody just one more moment. The most absurd thing we've got.
That was so controversial. Sir. Sir.
Okay, I'm going to correct myself and say second most absurd. We have dumber video than that one.
Doesn't anyone see that this is wrong?
That's not even it. Okay, so Kirk almost moved to tears for the fact the animal hasn't made it. They bring it back to the sick bay for.
Well, he even says, "Don't hurt him." Like before he's like, "Don't."
When they go to tranquilize the vicious one, he's like, "Please don't hurt him. Don't hurt him." He's really sensitive about the dog's fate. They bring it back to sick bay to do an autopsy, and they've got negative Kirk strapped down in there. There's some great back and forth wordplay with the two Kirks. They also are having a conversation about how the dog creature didn't survive the shock of the reintegration because it was two different halves and it was put back together. It was shocked and it couldn't handle the reintegration, to which Spock responds, but it is an animal with only primitive emotions. The captain is a man. It could survive. It does not have the power of reason Captain Kirk has. He would accept and understand the reintegration, and the shock would be significantly less. He's also a lot stronger than this piece of shit animal that we borrowed from some of the producers' wives. You know what I mean? Like the producer's wife's girlfriend's, the producer's girlfriend's dog. His wife can't know about it. But evil Kirk kind of makes an escape from sickbay. He does a few weird things, including talking to Janice in the turbo lift, before he makes it onto the bridge where he is confronted by good Kirk. And we're still sticking with the holstered gun belts. And it's real weird. We've made sure to lock the phasers on stun. We call it basic cycle, something we give up using. We never hear that one again. We spend a lot of time talking about how the weapons are perfect and can stun or kill. If they want, they can stun you. If they want, they can delete you. They're perfect weapons for this purpose. Here we have Captain Kirk. His more negative half is at this moment dealing with the fact that the cover-up is not doing anything to hide his evil half. He scratched the other Kirk. They're kind of looking the same, but the benevolent Kirk, with the dramatic lighting of the time, they're able to sort of really heighten the contrast. William Shatner does a great job acting off of himself, and I'll let my crew answer this one. What did you guys think of William Shatner's fantastic performance here and his acting and playing off of himself?
Well, aside from the scratches being on the wrong side in this shot, I think it's great.
Yes, there.
I think it was. I caught that even when I was little. I wonder if they just switched if it was just the negative that was flipped around, or if did they apply the makeup incorrectly?
I think what happens is, I'm just guessing here, because William Shatner's hair is parted correctly.
Okay.
So
yeah,
we know it's done on purpose. This is my thought. We screwed up when we did the attack. We need the scratches to be on opposite sides of the face.
Because when good Kirk comes into
Kirks
the bridge,
have matching.
They're on the left side.
Janice is right-handed. She rakes them with her right hand.
Yeah,
when we first see them where they're wrong, so that you know what
this is only. Yeah, they wanted the shot a certain way, but they wanted to feature the scratches. I believe they felt it was better to film the right side of Shatner's face and just put the scratches over there instead of just filming it from a worse angle.
Yeah, it does look better left to right because when you compose a shot or photography or filmography, we look at a picture the way we read a book. We read left to right and up, top down. So the way you would read this picture is the scratches first. So it makes sense why they did it from a optical standpoint. But Germ's right. I mean, they should have had it the other. I mean, they just screwed up.
with that for one reason. If I was the director of this Star Trek episode, I would have taken an oppositional view of adverse Kirk, non-restrained Kirk, and I always would have had him moving from right to left against the manner in which we read to illustrate that he was wrong and incorrect. I would have had the scratches not match up because I would have had the audience able to tell them apart more easily and just confuse the crew more. It didn't matter. They didn't need to be on the same side of the face. The fact that the inconsistency is the way it happened would suggest, and I would ask my panel's questions on this, and you, the audience, if you have anything to say, please chime in. I would love to know. Let me ask you something. Would the inconsistency, based on what Germ said, be that when Kirk leaves Janice's cabin, we see him facing towards the left side of the screen with his hand out with the blood on it, and that side of his face is scratched? Is that to show off the injury and they made the sacrifice for that one shot, figuring we'd forget about it later and keep it consistent?
Yeah.
It's a right-handed scratch on the left side of his face in every frame except that one. If that makes that a choice and not a mistake, and art, not sloppiness and lack of continuity. It's a choice. It's not. It's lack of continuity, but it's not a mistake.
It is a lack of continuity, no matter what way you cut it. It wasn't a mistake. They just thought this was the better shot.
Yeah,
right.
I agree with you.
If anyone brought it up on
the way
set,
I think we did,
they told them to screw off for shooting it this way.
I believe that they probably did say that, but the justification would be that you really do need that shot to make the different version of Kirk seem fucked up. You need to see the scratches on his face and the blood in his hand at the same time, and he needs to be standing that way, and it really does work because in that shot, he is standing opposed to the way we read and the direction that the bad guys move in most movies. If you noticed in the Avengers movie, the good guys are moving from left to right. In the second Avengers movie when they have the big battle. All right. I mean, and they're incompetent filmmakers and they know that. All right, guys. So the electromagnetic catapults are supposed to reduce and would reduce the component wear when the technology is allowed to mature. Problem with the Ford class is too many new ideas were crammed into it. That was why I initially agreed with it, but because the other ship needs massive redesign, I would say give up on the one we're making now and have an integrated system, because until you can prove that what would be the preemptive thing for any nuclear strike, and this would affect a large part of any hemisphere, air bursting nukes would scramble all electromagnetics, and although U.S. military technology is hardened, something like an electromagnetic catapult has components which are exposed to the electromagnetic pulse, and a carrier with a catapult that doesn't work would be useless. The Navy would have to prove to me that it would survive that. Hello,
an EMP would take out almost all the planes we have now as it is, with how dependent they are on electronics. But we shouldn't get off into much of a. It's a cool. I wish if Radioactive's still here, I'd love to hear him.
I would love to know if the planes themselves are fairly hardened. There's a degree of hardening, and the hard wiring protects them to some degree. But yes, Battlestar Galactica stole that from the real world. Hello,
all they got to do is
welcome
just
to
install
Michelle.
some shields. My God.
This was due to the shot being reversed during editing. Director Leo Penn and cameraman Jerry Finnerman filmed the close-up out of axis and hoped no one would notice. Captain Kirk's hair is parted in the correct direction now.
Yeah, that's the one thing. Unless they parted his hair differently in that shot too.
They do go in tight so that if there is a mistake, you would have a harder time seeing it. But I'm seeing what I see is pretty good proof of his part. I think that a shot like that exists. It might be the shot we're talking about where they reversed it with him in the hallway because they're like, it just looks too damn good because you don't see his Delta symbol. You could have reversed that one and no one would have known.
Admiral, no, his hair is parted incorrectly here. Look at images of him. Kirk's hair is parted on his left side toward the right.
So they did screw up and change their mind about the ideas, or they lost track.
It is a flipped negative. She's right.
They lost track. All right. If they did it intentionally or they lost track, it seems to be Michelle is saying it was reversed during editing. Whether it was intentional or not, we don't know. We don't know.
Here's some other shots. Just so we can confirm.
Thank you, Michelle, for that. Great.
So you can see here, parts over here, parts over here. Yeah. Thank you, Michelle. We sit corrected.
It seems like me his head. Wait, let's replace our shot.
Yeah.
They crop in really close and the shadow helps them. You would think HD would make this clearer. If he had been wearing the other green uniform with the without the scrambled eggs, you might have been able to tell. They're lucky that they had this iteration of the uniform still. It had a different closing. Different closing.
In the scene, though, the way they staged it, yeah, Bad Kirk was on that side of Good Kirk, right? He was on the left side of the bridge. So maybe
we saw it. He was standing by the turbo lift, correct?
Yeah, and he was. Yeah, so I see why they did that. They flipped it because of the staging of the scene would have been
awkward. He would have been facing the wall. He would have been facing something the wrong. He would have been facing the wrong way, and the audience would have noticed it right away.
Yeah,
this is Gene Roddenberry and his directors are just getting their shit together for Star Trek, and their sets new. They're making
you know what?
Amateur
Compared to
mistakes.
other mistakes we see in modern movies, this was minor.
The fact they bothered to fix it is something that puts them above New Trek. Okay, so we wondered about it. We drew the wrong conclusion, and our brilliant chat solved the problem for us. Thank you, guys. And Michelle, especially, great. Extra points. Michelle, you get promoted to yeoman. This is Tranya flavored Gatorade. I hope you guys relish it as much as I do. That episode is still like 4 episodes off. I can't believe that was the second episode filmed.
Oh, yeah. I do want to comment on this, what Mark Harton has said. Where the CVN 80, that's going to be the next Enterprise. I am going to do my best to go to the launch of that vessel.
That might be fun.
That would be cool.
If it
I'm sure there'll be a lot of Trek fans there,
I'll save a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know how
it should be in Virginia. That's where the shipyard is.
You know how they'll know, Sean? You know how we'll know who the Trek fans are? They'll be the old people.
Yeah.
They've really fucked this up. Guys, our journey to Star Trek is going to continue every Saturday night, no matter what. But you know what? It's balanced on the head of a pin right now. Good, and the dead man and everyone's it's good to see the fam greeting each other. DePaul would have made the scene better. Yes. Yeah, well, steam is better, and she is so hot, she is steaming. So, yes, DePaul is always going to improve any scene she's in. The fact that we couldn't get a scene with DePaul and Uhura in some sort of special edition, maybe, I'm sure the technology will be developed. The chat always knows. This chat always knows, that's for sure. You're going to go see the Battleship Texas, people? Cool. All right. Well, let's get on with the episode synopsis. We're done with the plot here. There's only a few more minutes of thinking left to be done. The 2 Kirks are beamed away. It's the Tuvix problem.
And that body double's right. Germ, right? I mean, man, that guy looks just like him.
From behind, he looks exactly like him.
Oh, yeah.
I froze this shot just because I wanted to get the rematerialization. I thought it was pretty good. This is still a new effect for us. It's not a long beam up and beam down. The recycle takes as long as 1 cage beam out, and it's 2 full cycles. They have cut down the transporter sound from 30 seconds to like 15. It's going to 5 before we're done. And we need 2 different lengths. We need like a more painful engage to get down from the planet, and it's just a simple like materialization to move the plot along sometimes. You know what I mean? Like beaming off might be more difficult than like just you show up on the planet, everything's been done. The ship's doing all the work, uploading you and stuff like that, and that's where stuff goes wrong. Like, takeoff is much more dangerous than landing. The imposter had some interesting qualities, wouldn't you say, Yeoman? Yes, Spock's comment to Rand is absolutely fucking inappropriate by modern standards. However, in the context of the episode, it's merely a cheeky choice of things to say by this is the only in-world I've got. It might be, you guys tell me if this is only headcanon or if it rises to in-world. Spock is unsuccessfully indulging his human side.
I don't think so. I think it's more of
Joe.
a offbeat way of
that?
Spock trying to tell her that that wasn't the captain. There's no need to talk to anybody about it.
Wow, that would be, you know what? It is 60 years later. We can't say that we have a good reading on the slang of that time. If you know somebody who's 85 years old who saw this when they were, if someone who's 77 would be perfect. If you could ask them, listen, when you watch this as a high school senior, what did it mean to you? We would know exactly what they were aiming for. We need a 77-year-old fans, if you're out there, this is your moment. You're being called upon. We call upon the Vietnam generation. It's green. It's green. Yes, Captain Kirk's shirt is quite green.
I like your shepherd there, Deepool. What's the dog's name? My avatar here is Dexter. Got a nice
great name for a dog.
Oh yeah.
Speaking about things that are nice, here's Janice, and they made sure to hold a clipboard next to her so that it had a contrast with the readout screens. It really helps flatter her figure more than if we had it up against just, that computer interface, and they weren't going to move the shot. There's just not enough set for her to be filmed against the more gray part of the wall. So I thought this was a good compromise by Gene Roddenberry and crew, whose only desire here was to show off the beautiful body of their beautiful actress who came here to be beautiful. And it's just an unfortunate hairpiece. I guess she had a pixie cut. Everything's fake, but the hair around the front and on top. This is the Paul situation times 10. This hair is a red alert.
Almost all the actresses wore wigs.
And it wasn't uncommon for the beehive for actresses or anyone who's really wearing it. It was always fake.
It's always fake. It's an undoable hairdo in real life. If you have to do something like have some kind of weird bump it. Remember those came back. I don't know. I'll ask my mom how she pulled them off in her wedding picture. She got married like when Star Trek was on. So these haircuts were popular, but like
maybe she was a conehead.
My mom could possibly be from another planet. Here's the deal, though. It's so fake and so obviously fake. I don't understand why they need to have this. This haircut is prevalent at a time right before hippies. We have a strange moment. This haircut lasts exactly 3 beats of a second. This and Bewitched are the only contemporary evidence. It's a
Didn't Jeannie have a beehive kind of?
Yeah, Spock is still getting over not Con. Yeah, Connie and her. Who have a beehive?
Jeannie, Barbara Eden.
Sometimes. The thing is,
I never noticed her smile was so fabulous. I didn't see anything other than that. Barbara Eden's smile would melt me.
She had a head. Barbara Eden had a face.
Yes.
I never looked at anything but her body. No, actually, I'm going to say something. Give some insight to this. Is probably explains how my marriage failed and why I'm still single. When people would watch I Dream of Jeannie, I guess Jeannie was the one that they thought was the ideal girlfriend. And my desire wasn't far off. However, As a little kid, I thought was cuter, and in high school, I thought was hotter. Was Jeannie's super mean, fucked up twin sister with the black hair? The
Wait,
one who
who?
was like Jeannie had a twin sister with dark hair who was sadistically mean. She would show up and impersonate Jeannie, and then she would blink and her hair would turn dark, and she had like a short dark bob, and she would be like super evil, the master, and she would like tie him up and do like messed up stuff to him and like do dances of seduction. She would always be 10 times sexier as her evil counter twin. And the thing was, that character was a bitch, but I thought that was the ultimate in hotness, and that probably explains a lot of my crash and burn dating patterns in high school and college.
I'll take your word for it. I'm not an expert on that show.
She looked hotter with the black hair. It was because she was always meaner and more sexy. Chad, back me up. Notice I noticed 2 outstanding things about the show. Janice was beautiful. As a child, I admired Janice and thought she was cool in that hair. Now, as an old woman, it's not as cool a look. You're not an old woman. That would make me old. It is weird, and with the HD TV, it kind of compromises it. It is a really interesting look that now is retro-futuristic and is used in retro-futuristic productions indiscriminately. It is bizarre that it involves like a lot of hair fakery, and we're just demanding women do a lot of hair fakery at this point. This is a weird time for women. This is why 90% of women don't bother with it. They have like more practical haircuts. And then like there's like a revolution of women who are like, we're not going to wear 15 fake hair pieces and these torpedo bras for a while. I mean, we want some more sensible, comfortable clothes, which speaks to a point we make about this show a lot. Star Trek was not hung up on ideas that were the way they wanted the world to be. By the time the original series came on, we had Samantha from Bewitched had a cousin that had dark hair. Jeannie with Samantha from was that some? Yes, Samantha was the cousin. I think
it was Samantha had the evil.
It was Barbara Eden though with a dark wig.
Oh, was it? I don't know.
There was a character played by Barbara Eden as Jeannie with a dark wig. I'm going to Google this before the end of the show. Someone ask Grok. Just feed the cut and paste the question to Grok, and it'll probably give us an answer. At the end of the episode, the reintegrated Kirk speaks to Janice about how he's gotten into how he's reintegrated into himself. He's the Kirk that she used to know. There's nothing to worry about, and there's nothing to talk about. And he is sorry that when he was separated from himself, part of himself was out of control. But she understands, and he understands that these things are going to happen in space. Jeannie had a twin also. She called Jeannie 2. All right, so that was the one that I had the hots for. She was a total fucking bitch, and she would like tie Tony to the bed and like do like blink and like have an even sexier outfit on, or start like dancing to like the music of Salome. Like Jeannie 2 was like super fucking hot. Like I was in love with Jeannie 2 so much more than Jeannie 1 because she was such a bitch. Like she made me believe that being a bitch was a female quality to be desired. Thank you, Michelle. I don't know why. Nice women, it's not your fault. I did it to myself. Hollywood did this to me. I blame Hollywood. I'm going to sue the makers of I Dream of Jeannie. Larry Hagman, this is your fault. You shouldn't have been my spirit animal, inspiring me to take LSD all the time. Larry Hagman's daughter wrote a book about being Larry Hagman's daughter, and Larry Hagman went on the book tour with her, validating the stories. One was on her 18th birthday, he bought LSD and said that they should do it together so that they could bond. He was like 40. What a wild man.
Hey, Barbara
Eden,
Eden,
isn't he?
Oh yeah.
He was doing a lot of alcohol on that show, I think. But
yes.
Yeah, Barbara Eden is still beautiful. She's 94 and she's still got this brightness about her. She's
Yeah, you're right.
energetic.
There's a
She's
beauty
so awesome.
of her soul comes out. And
Yeah.
you know what? Her Star Trek connection would be her husband of the time. I think she stayed with him. I just don't know. Michael and Sarah plays a Klingon.
Good night, buddy Hepburn. Thank you,
Buddy,
sir.
take it easy. Good to see you, my friend. Great service done. And hello to the Peter Venkman fan site, who is a great Twitter follow and a great friend of the channel, always promoting us. I salute you and I thank you. You know what? There's been some stuff going on that's made me want to post less on X, and the crew loves it. But the one thing that I will not stop doing is I'm going to thank people. I always post thank yous to the people who repost my show and help my show keep going. I'll be damned if anyone's going to stop me from doing right by the people who do right by me. To increase the show's footprint, just retweet out the way I tweeted out, and you know what, show the picture and off the browser if you have to, and I appreciate it deeply. You guys are part of what makes this community. We're having a slightly more community-focused night, but instead of finishing up in 2 hours, I guess we'll get done in a few more minutes, because now is the time that we super focus on the episode and we talk about the naked time. All right, let me get this. Not quite. You know what? It would be great to see naked time from Janice and Kirk. I wish they'd kept their porno movies, but you know what? We're going to have to live for another day with that. All right, now it's time when we talk about the enemy within. Guys, let's talk about our ratings and feelings about this episode. We're going to take a couple minutes, and everyone take the poll. Before we get going on this one, let's pop out the chat, and we'll take a look at the poll right now. We have some fantastic people out there. Have I missed anyone? Did I say hi to Tetrarch? Critically Thinking's out there. See you next Tuesday. PCAT. Sci-Fi Sith Dan. The Real Head Case. Buddy Has Departed. John the Beagle Dad. Deeple. Deepool. Joe Lamont. Senna. It's good to see you, sir. The PVS. The Opinion. The Option Trader. Darth Plato, Phantom Outsider. Sir, I have been remiss in my duty of saying hello to you. It's been a couple of weeks since I managed to get around to say hello to you. I'm going to work the channel a little more heavily for a little while now. Michelle Ferry tells Gavin Unit, the Trek reviewer, Sean Carter, Mark Harkness, the Dan, Radioactive, NRRTNZ. Listen, guys, I'm sorry. We've been sometimes not able to acknowledge chat as much as they do on some other channels. You'll always have those places to go to. Interesting conversation first and foremost. Sometimes you get caught up in it. Our hope is that you will too. We love you, and we're going to read your comments and we give you the polls to react to. But if this channel is going to survive and the way things are going, we want to have some semblance of the community hub going on in an interface that works. We're going to keep our YouTube channel up. We're going to keep throwing options out there. We have an eclectic bunch of YouTube videos that we are using for compliance. That Spider-Man video was anything but a labor of love. I was able to make it and do a pretty good video. It did all right, but that was for compliance. And anybody who could help us out, watch the Star Trek videos and watch the compliance videos that are non-Star Trek videos that are on our video page for the video essays. They really help out the channel. Give them some likes, and that, you know what, you'll like some of the recommendations. The Miami Vice video is good. The Fury video is thought-provoking and kind of my magnum opus right now. And Germ, I need you to talk me out of doing Fury 2, because I'm ready to respond about why there's even more things wrong with that movie in another 12-minute video.
Definitely gonna have to talk you out of that. Fury in none of its incarnations deserves any real time.
You might be right, but I want Brad Pitt speaks German for no reason in that movie. All right, guys, let's do our
Everything
ratings.
Brad Pitt does is no reason.
He did Angelina Jolie a lot. There was a reason for that, but he regrets it.
I think everybody regrets it.
and they adopt their kids, so like that marriage didn't even need to have to happen. So, like, yeah, you could safely say it wouldn't
They
have
have
changed
so
a whole
many.
lot. I don't think any were naturally conceived. If they were, tell me. I mean, all of them obviously were conceived, but I mean, you know what I mean by them, specifically by them. And by the way, how's even Aniston look now, Brad? You fucking idiot! What a moron!
It's
Well,
hard to
as
tell
you
what
stated,
Jennifer Aniston
Queens.
really looks like. Anything she's in, it's face filters, makeup, and AI, plastic
It's been
surgery.
a while. It's been a while.
She-
I would say this: the comparison was more heavily in Aniston's favor for a longer time, but you know what? You bring up
Yeah,
some
but
interesting.
I
truth points.
guarantee when she gets up in the morning, it is not anything close to what you see on TV. At least now.
I'll ask Barack. That was one of the more wild rumors I saw running around.
Yeah, that he would be interested in someone like her. Emphasis on to her.
I love the term because it's like, that's just not conspiratorial enough for my take, sir. It's not controversial enough. We have the most controversial hosts here on the channel. All right. We just watched The Enemy Within. I've got my crew with me, and we're going to talk about this episode. Let's start with
Dan
my good
Crane.
friend, Resolute Germ. Resolute Germ, let's get some opinions about Enemy Within. It's episode 4 of the original series.
Yeah, overall, very good. Scaling it to the rest of TOS, it does get knocked down quite a bit with the inconsistencies, the flipped frame for the scratches, the missing icon when Bad Kirk initially beams in. I think they just overlook that. And then the shuttlecraft is just the biggest one that they're supposed to have it, but you know why they didn't do it, but in the long run, it's just an inescapable plot hole that you can't square.
It's a retroactive plot hole that they didn't think through. It file that one under somewhat underthought. It is the easiest one to forgive and get over, but you are absolutely correct. Great analysis. Thank you so much, Germ. And now we'll go into. Sorry, you had more to say. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's great.
All around C plus scaled for TOS.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. By the way, the reason I was a little distracted there, I meant to correct myself. I said story 5. This would be the 5th. This would be the 5th episode to be broadcast. Paramount Plus has made The Cage episode 1. So Man Trap episode 2 is actually episode 1. We can take one off. Enemy Within is broadcast episode 5. And in our hearts, this is Star Trek story 5. All right. It's story number 5. This is the 5th thing people saw. Some episodes were made beforehand. We're not going to see the Corbinite maneuver until episode 11 because it's judged to be so far out. But so much crew work gets done there. And I think we're going to make it to episode 11 and start hitting episodes like 12 and 13 before we have a crew dynamic established that makes sense because of how out of order things are. And this is why I think that it's far more useful to watch the show in chronological order after having seen it in broadcast order, which is very valid as well. Broadcast order has now been specialized, done to death. We don't often see it in broadcast order. A lot of us default to the live Star Trek channel on MeTV or on Tubi or on Paramount Plus or any other great carrier, or we watch our great home DVDs. And gee, maybe I can take this opportunity. You can buy a DVD of Star Trek, the original series, on this website. Off of this this video. Just click the link, and Admiral Teague gets a kickback for that. I need to mention that. Our legal department says it's a good idea, though. And you know what? if you want to have a fun time, the way to punk the YouTuber is you go and you take the portal and you buy a car and you return it. That's how you punk the YouTuber. It's like, I have $600 in bank fees from this reversal.
Wow.
Hey, you know what? If you want to ruin your own credit rating for life.
Yeah.
It's the one reason I keep it to Walmart links. What's the worst thing they could do? Also, with Walmart, I think I'm safe. It takes them 90 days to decide whether or not that they, all right, sir, you can have the commission now. But yeah, I'm going to drop the link in here for Star Trek, the original series on DVD. Sean Carter, your opinion of The Enemy Within. It's a seminal early broadcast episode of the original series.
Yeah, well, I agree. I mean, someone in the chat said it was a classic episode, and it is. It's one of those you think of as a classic Trek, but it is one of my least favorites. On an overall scale, I give this a 6 out of 10 just for likability because of the plot holes. We talked about them already. They could, once they got the transporter working and they weren't sure about whether people could be transported, they could have beamed down some heaters, beamed down a tent. Someone in the chat mentioned they should have dug a hole in the ground with the phasers and hidden underneath that freezing wind. There were so many things that they could have done. I understand the plot needed there to be a ticking thing.
Sulu does heat up. Sulu, this is the first use of a phaser to heat up some rocks.
Yeah,
Sulu does that. They beam down some blanket. We can assume it's space age and extra warm to protect them, but the temperatures on the planet are a little too cold, right? Like, what is it? Minus 700 million degrees.
Like 120
minus 100
below.
Yeah.
But they could have beamed down a little structure. They could have beamed down a tent. Here's a little foil blanket. There was so much. I understand.
I would just like to point out that the American members of the crew would have easily been able to survive 120 below, because that's only metric. So that's only about 60, 80 below in our measurement. So, really, just another day at work for an American. It's the cowboy attitude that would have gotten them through it. The European, Canadian crew members certainly would not have survived.
Yeah, Mark Harkness. Yeah, it is classic Trek, but still, there's too many of those things glare out at me. It's hard to get over it. However, although I give it a 6 out of 10 for likability for those things, for me, I give it an overall score for other things as far as science fiction ideals. It's examining the human condition. There's some great acting, all these things. I give it a 76 out of 100. As far as all the other categories. I mean, every category I have for humanity and optimism, science fiction, the story, the characters, are the characters consistent? Yes, they are. There's a little bit of adventure going on. It's still a relevant episode. I give all of those, 8s. And I gave a 6 to the story because of the plot holes, but everything else, 8, 9s, and 10s. It's just the plot holes just make it one of my least favorite, but it's still great. It's still, it's 100 out of 100 compared to anything we have recently. And it is a classic episode and it's wonderful. But again, I'm going through and judging these, the whole purpose of my scoring matrix here is to really find out which Star Trek episodes are the best ones as objectively as possible. And so it gets a 76 out of 100 and we still have 74 to go. So I don't want to be
bunch
too
of episodes. Yeah, you know what? All right. So you know what? We had your poll. Let's take a look at that, see if we move the needle on it. Now, we have recorded the amount of votes. If there's a late dump of votes, Germ is going to end up investigating. Germ, last week we had a late dump of votes. You mentioned to me that you had seen them just out of nowhere delivering food, huh? To the vote counting center.
Yeah, right at 2 a.m., all of a sudden, boxes and boxes.
I think this needs to be strongly looked into. All right. Anyway, what does The Enemy Within tell us most about Star Trek? Because Admiral Teague can't write. What does The Enemy Within tell us the most about Kirk? Mentally very strong, 24%. Has a deeply unrestrained id, 18%. Fair take. And it's overwhelming, 53% is played by a truly great actor. Let's face it, you guys deserved a chance to fillet Captain Kirk, and you know what? I felt like doing it. I didn't necessarily think it would definitely go that way, and the amount of diversity of opinion shows that there were enough people who felt passionately about the writing to say that it was synergistic or to give credit where credit's due. All answers are correct, and you're all absolutely wonderful people. And in the words of great Ozzy Osbourne, we love you all. Here comes my plot synopsis. And not even close. Thank you so much. I probably should have left the poll open. Would have been better for participation. Duh. All right. So the poll is closed, but you know what? Let me beam him in here just for context. We have him stored in the pattern buffer for when it's important. For when it's important. What part of America is that from where people say important? What's going on with the people who say important?
I have no idea.
It's important. Yes, madams, it's Mark Do the Sig.
Hey, better late than never. Hey, how's it going, everyone? Sorry.
Mark, I've got some walk-on music for you.
Ooh. I like it. Yeah. My wife made me hang out with the kids tonight. They're visiting, and I'm like, I got a lot of YouTubing to do tonight. And she's like, you want me to kick your ass? No, I'm kidding. Obviously, it's no offense to you guys, but if I have a chance to hang out with my kids, and then we decided to play Settlers of Catan, and I got my ass kicked. But I had to start. My son moved the Star Trek board game out of the way to get Settlers of Catan. No one wants to play with me, but the Star Trek game.
Is it Catan or Catan?
I say Catan, but I guess it could be. We guess ask Uhura, right? I mean, which one it is,
Caton.
right? But
could be Caton.
Caton, yeah. So Caton, Settlers of Catan. I think it's Catan, right? What do you guys say in the chat, right? It's got to be Catan, I think, right? I think it's Catan. Yeah. So,
well, just like the question Teague was just asking, if important or whatever it is.
Important. All right, guys. Yeah. Let's trek a little bit here. Mark's a little late to the game, but you know what? We love him, so let's give him a moment. Why don't you take like a minute of your time for us, and just tell us how you feel about the episode Enemy Within, and then give us your rating when you're done. Like, give us your thoughts first, and then give it a rating.
Yeah. I won't go too long because I know we want to keep these brisk, but appreciate
you can
the
go
chance
2 minutes. Take 2 minutes.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. We'll flash the agonizer if I go too long. No, I won't go that long. But the one thing that stands out for this episode is all
right. Thank you, Mark.
Kirk. Yep. All right.
no, go ahead.
Damn Yankees fan. The Shatner's performance in this. I don't think this episode works without Shatner's performance, and seeing that duality. And everyone does have a dark side. I think sometimes you think like I'm like, try to be like a super nice guy, but once in a while I snap once in a while, but it takes a lot to make me snap. So when I do, then it's really ugly. But I think everyone's got that dark side. So that duality, there's a lot going on with this, right? We got the Star Trek or sci-fi, the transporter split here. Then you got the cute little crazy doggy, right? That doesn't make it, unfortunately. You got Sulu and everyone freezing to death on the planet. But I always thought that they never mentioned, but I would have added a line like the Star Trek uniforms are such high-tech fabric from the future that it does. Yeah, poor little doggy with the horn there.
We forgot
the
to
uniform.
Say that.
Yeah, the uniform you probably mentioned. I always thought that the uniform like helped them stay alive. And I know we've mentioned
also
before, like one of the
damage when they fall. Yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
Can we get a so say we all from that? I'm going to second that.
Yeah, because I think of it like the uniforms in the military now, or like scouts, or like they had all wool uniforms. You see them in museums and or old clothes. It's like now we've got spandex and all this high tech fabric, and all this great mountaineering gear and stuff like that. That's amazing. So I mean, I'm getting old now. I got a freaking heated vest, so I'm assuming there's like the shirt has like got some kind of way that it can heat people. But that's a minor nerd, Trek aside. But just Shatner's performance, how brilliant it is, and how they realize, you got to have the yin and the yang, right? You got to have both to be a full person, and his performance is wonderfulness. So I did give this. On my list, it's an A. I got to convert it to Sean's score, but on my overall rating for this was 23 overall. But I mean, of course, this, as we say, like this is it's like 23. Like, how do you rate like your A's, right? So they're just all so wonderful. And just to give, we always remember clobbering times around here. So this was Clobbering Time's number 27 episode, and he gave this a 9+. So I ranked it a little bit higher than Clobby, but I love Shatner's performance in this, and it's such a freaky episode in terms of that Jekyll and Hyde aspect. It's a great sci-fi, take on Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, I think, really, right? I mean, I don't know if you guys mentioned that or that came up, but that's always how I kind of thought of it, yeah.
I'm shocked that it only occurred to me, today that's what it was taken from. I always just thought it was about a transporter malfunction that split them into two guys. I didn't realize, they used this to do Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and they explain their transporter in an amusing story without having to do like imagine modern Trek. It's like, I've just stepped off the transporter.
Well, you know what? Then Turnabout Intruder is Dr. Jekyll and Mrs. Hyde. There's actually a Dr. Jekyll and Mrs. Hyde movie. It's out there if you guys know that one.
I want to say that's not William Shatner was not the only person to play Captain Kirk on the original series. He's also
Turnabout Intruder,
and that woman does a good job, and so does he as the woman. They both do a good job, and that is far from the worst episode. That is actually better than The Children Shall Lead and The Apple, and possibly The Way to Eden.
Well, The Way to Eden has an amazing song, so yay, brother.
And the guy from the Blues Brothers who drove the RV. All right, so what you gave us your grade. I guess now it's time for the Admiral to go, unless you have a final thought.
I'm good. Yep, I'm sticking with my A. Yep.
All right, your buddy Admiral Teague ready to go. This is a fantastic seminal episode of the original series. We've got so many different competing technologies going on. We've got so many different ideas going on. We're smoothly rolling out in a way that makes it look like this crew has been functioning for a few months together and starting to loosen up and getting to know each other. And also all the fraternization after the incident with the complicated water molecules has made the crew closer than most crews in space. They're getting an extra, boost from the material being so good. William Shatner in 2 back-to-back broadcast episodes has shown that he is a commanding presence on screen. I don't think he would have gotten a reputation for being over the top if they had spaced out some of these big episodes. These are 2 weeks in a row. Let's remember for a moment, Germ said this last week about the last episode. That was what he was known for. That was what people wanted. You know what? We talked about this episode, the dramatic lighting, the dramatic musical cues, the way it was done. It was just a little more, not hugely, but compared to New Trek, night and day, because there just is music in the episode rather than a low tone that plays while the scene goes on. There's actual music. And they're using it, and they're using everything they can to great effect to heighten the drama and the enjoyment of the audience. Everything has now come together. This is a lot of people said it was the last episode. I think we saw enough antagonism between Spock and McCoy for me to say that this one to me feels like we're really complete. We've got all the sound effects. We've got all the music. It's all playing at the right time. Some of the interpretations still need a little work. As I said, we've got the anxiety between Kirk and between Spock and McCoy. They are having a difference of opinion over humanity. And then there's another difference of opinion between Spock and McCoy, and I think that Gene brought it back on this one. He seems to have changed his mind about this. There's an exchange between Spock and McCoy while Kirk is sitting semi-catatonic in the corner, just sort of staring at the floor because he'd forgotten about the landing party. And McCoy says, "What difference does it make? They're going to die anyway." And Spock steps to him and says, "Yo, fuck you." And we're going to beam him back. Spock steps to him and says, "We're not going to leave our guys behind. You know what? It's not acceptable. We can get the captain onto the transporter, and he, as a human being, can accept the shock." And he's like, "At least let me do an autopsy." And the difference of opinion is over. We don't have time for an autopsy. This needs to happen now. So the decision's made to go through with it. They sedate the unrestrained id of Kirk. And Kirk, again, is very concerned that they don't hurt him. And they drag him to the transporter room. And Kirk, is embracing his other self, is transported back whole. And he takes a moment, he breathes, and he looks relieved, and he jumps off that transporter like he always does. And then we sort of have a Return of the King thing happen where he talks to a couple of people about how, he's seen himself in the ugliest way, and it really was hard to live with. And we should have ended it there. But instead, I guess because we went a bit too far, we have Kirk say he's sorry about what the evil half of himself did. But I think it's only logical, and every person would want everyone else to know that that was not how they were. So it wasn't so much an apology as a clarification phrased in apologetic terms. But he didn't exactly feel good about what she had to go through to be on the ship. The plot hole of Sulu being on the planet without having the shuttlecraft. And I see Sean, what was your plot hole for the planet?
I put it in the private chat. I thought you were reading it. I'm like, no.
I was.
No,
I just
don't.
No, don't show that. Yeah.
All right. Let's remember. I only wear the really good reading glasses for the sci-fi CSI show so I could do my William L. Peterson. I wear my Nerdrotic style glasses where I can barely see when I do the Star Trek show so that I can be in character as captain of this ship.
You don't want to read that one.
Well, that could tie into the City of Edge of Forever, right? With what happens to Spock in that one? How did they explain his ears, right?
Well,
yeah, and honestly, at 120 below, how was Sulu able to hold the communicators? How were his fingers didn't turn black and fall off as he closed the lid? You know what I mean? All right, it's like I realize we have the capacity to fix this. That would have been pretty cool too. It's like I got Sulu in the back of the tank. John Meredith Lucas's nephew is going to steal it in a couple of years.
Well, because his the phasers and the communicators are still working. They're just going to transport anything down, right?
Yeah.
But could they transported blankets and stuff? I'm probably rehashing stuff.
They do transport down a blanket. They do.
They could have beamed down a tent and some kind of flare or something you could burn.
We don't see if the structure goes up, but they have a tent and they're draping themselves with it for warmth for the moment to ward off the wind. We don't know how space age and
here's a flimsy foil blanket, guys. Good luck.
Yeah, here's the blanket. We have the blanket for the Cestus 3 marathon that we're going to next month. It's going to be a blast. You guys are going to love it. Take one of these. Here's a Red Cross disaster blanket. So, all right, my final opinion on this one is this is one of the most fantastic episodes to be placed so early. Brilliant choice to put it here. We finally explain our transporter technology. We've got great action and adventure on the final frontier. We show a bottle episode that can have some tension and almost be the norm. This ship is very alive. This ship is very much full of people. We have different personalities. We've got a small city in space. We have relationships. We have interpersonal relationships. And then we had a great chain of command episode. Everything, including the teamwork. We had Scotty working to fix the transporter circuit. We had McCoy working on sciencing his way through the problem in the episode. And we had Spock taking both a scientific and a psychological approach, with the final piece of the puzzle being that Spock's theory was strong enough and the captain's bravery was still intact, even though he was devoid of his aggressive qualities, which would mean that in the eyes of Roddenberry, bravery comes from goodness, not from aggression. That you're brave in the right cause, and he was brave to save the lives of his men. The safe thing to do would have been to give McCoy an hour for the autopsy, but Spock steps to him and says, the men on the planet will die. The captain has to take the risk. And you know what? It falls in line with Kirk pushing him earlier to keep him in line with being the captain and being a good captain. So he steps up. He's a great captain. He's a great leader. Even though he's devoid of his aggressive qualities, he's a good man. He's a good enough person to risk his life for his men. And, you know, you can ask no more than this, that one would lay down their life for their friends. So great morality. Star Trek used to have morality. We have one of the most fantastic episode 5s you could possibly have. I think we have one of the most fantastic Star Trek stories you could possibly have. I don't know if it's in my top 5, though, because of the retroactive plot holes, like not using the shuttlecraft, even though they hadn't come up with that idea yet. It almost seems incumbent on them to have done that. Like one rare instance of underthinking.
Well,
you're going to have to overlook
they could
it.
have easily put in a thing like a reason they couldn't use the shuttlecraft. Like there's a storm, there's something that's too cold, whatever. You know, they could have explained something.
But they didn't have it yet, right? And current in the show, right? It hadn't been
True.
built yet, right? At this point, because then they go to was it AMT or who built the shuttlecraft in turn for the all the rights to the models? That was AMT.
I think it was AMT.
It was AMT, yeah. Because
I want to say really quickly before we go into this at length. So I give the episode an A, and I give it a 9 out of 10. Yeah, it could have been better. It could have been more perfect. The pacing was great. The idea was great. The Jackal and Hyde doppelganger thing was really cool. There's going to be a whole bunch of Star Trek episodes like this. And we had the definitive performance where we start clicking with the relationship for the first time among the three of them. And we have just the second. Absolutely knock them out of the park. 3 home run World Series game by William Shatner in this, in an acting capacity, just doing what 1960s television fans want and expect in the way they want and expect it, and in a way that holds up today because of the way the episode is constructed. Again, it's a 9 out of 10. It's an A. Maybe it might not be an A plus. There are some retroactive plot holes, but setting the groundwork and world building for a lot of future fiction. And I think it's a great episode. I can't recommend it more. And those are my thoughts on the episode. All right, let's free fire time now will commence. This is Briefly a Democracy, gentlemen.
There's a mutiny. No, that's not a mutiny. You allowed us to talk, right? Just kidding.
Yeah. So,
Who's the enemy? Who's the enemy within, right?
One of the other plot holes that bothered me, and I don't know if you agree, Mark, but it was the way they went about searching for him. You know, we have Spock give him that speech about you can't appear weak, you have to be perfect, and then 2 minutes later he does the announcement over the ship, and that was stupid. They wouldn't have broadcast if you have an intruder. You're not going to broadcast it to everyone like that. Like there's an intruder and alert them, the intruder. You would get security teams quietly start dispersing them and then bring in other security teams. And you just slowly find him. He's not getting off the ship, but you don't alert the guy. It was really dumb
My headcanon dovetails with Germ's. Ready? Germ said that he'd been seen. My headcanon is he'd been seen by more than enough people that Spock was not going to leave the captain alone. So you knew that when you saw Spock and the captain, you were okay. Anything else, the captain was willing to get stunned.
Yeah, they could have said that. Like, if Captain Kirk will be with Spock, if you see a Captain Kirk person without Spock next to him, get him.
Yeah, there were
There were so many other things that they could have done. They botched that part. I understand the plot. They needed him to get to Janice's room, and but yes, Germ.
But also, there's a bigger plot hole we never mentioned. Scotty never actually solved the original problem with the transporter. He wrote in all those bypasses.
Yeah,
because the evil
it was going to take him a week to
shot the
repair
panel. He incinerated the transporter panel in engineering. Then all of a sudden he bypasses that, so it works.
They made the unfortunate
problem of what was splitting it.
Yeah.
They made the unfortunate, very definitive claim that it was gone and done. They didn't add in, we have to replace it, or I got to go pull a replacement from the backup transporter. And now it would seem we can't pretend that we have a huge transporter that beams out cargo because we're not using it in this emergency.
Well, was it all?
We got one transporter room,
but all the transporters are affected because I mean, there is in the geeking and nerding out. I mean, there is a mass. If you look at the blueprints of the ship, the schematics, there is like a mass transporter. I think is it like 100 transporters at once or 50?
So he went to the where all the circuits unify.
Well, I think So I think one transporter's not working. None of them were gonna. It was what was going on with the atmosphere.
He knew where to go. Well, the thing is, it's not it's not evil Kirk. It's a duplicate without certain traits, but all the operational knowledge, his fingerprint, and his codes are known to both Kirks. In fact, that ranting, raving, trashing the cabin by the second Kirk, where he's like, I'm Captain Kirk. I'm Captain Kirk. He wasn't lying. He would have passed a polygraph. If he would have sat down and that thing, woo, 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 name, Kirk, Captain, like it would have just said that.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, and Deadman's got a good point. Yeah, this is new, and we're taking that into account. They're introducing new stuff. There are new ideas and everything. So we're very retroactively pointing out some plot holes. But the thing is, like, a lot of the stuff we're mentioning, like, the way they searched for him, the fact that they didn't give this landing party more support, that is not really, that's too big a hole for me to go. Because even when I was 12 years old, I was like, why don't they just phaser out a hole in the ground and then beam a roof on it or something? They could, a million other things. But I don't know.
They were overly hopeless. I agree with that.
They needed the story to happen, and I'm not hating on the episode for it. We're looking back on it and judging all of TOS together. And it's good to point out because they do get these things fixed by season 2.
It becomes better and better
in many ways. Yeah,
it becomes better and better, and we're going to get some of the best Star Trek ever. And look at those comments rolling by.
Yeah.
You figure they need way more safeties on something beaming living people than cargo. Yeah, Phantom Outsider, that was what I was going to say. When we disagree with the canon or with the show or have questions, we usually do qualify it. Like Mark was right here to correct me on that one, because in the Pondering the Doomsday Machine episode, we were saying the Constellation must have had a massive transporter for what happened, and it's possible that that would be like a one-shot deal for like living people. You know what I mean? Like that's how he burned out his transporter circuit. He beamed most of his crew off in one shot.
Yeah, because you'd have to be thinking of like an emergency or getting like military crew down to a planet. If you had to beam them 8 at a time, it's going to take
it's going to be a very slow ambush, and after about 2 hours you'll have amassed enough men to start the distraction.
Yeah, so I think Sean. I mean, I know Sean and I are nerds with these blueprints, but I have to. I'm not going to go in the other room and get it. But don't they have? Do you remember the number
It
of the
would
transporter?
take
How many people?
well if they did
at
8,
once?
if it takes 15 seconds, I think Admiral Teague pointed out 15 seconds of 8 people. So you'd have to do that 50 times. It would take 12 and a half minutes to beam off the entire crew.
Yeah,
That's
not
doable.
terrible.
That's
But
yeah.
I'm just trying to remember how many transporters were in that. You know, if you look at the schematics, yeah.
You would be charging
trying to-
onto that
trying to find
transporter
it.
too.
But yeah, it makes sense. You'd build a ship. You know, the transporter technology is it's new, but it's still, you know, it's pretty well tried and true. You know, Dr. McCoy doesn't like it, but it's.
I was watching the Binar episode yesterday, and when they're evacuating the Enterprise, they're saying, you know, deck 14, proceed to transporter room 25. It's like there's like 30 transporter rooms on the Enterprise D. It was like really ridiculous.
They stressed that early on in
Yeah.
TNG. They even stopped.
We don't
talking
hear
about
that
the
many later
families
on. It's
aboard a
like
lot.
I think it's two transporter rooms and a couple of cargo transporters.
Yeah, so I found
Two
it
transporters and a
on
microphone.
from Franz Joseph Book of General Plans through searching Grok, and Phantom is saying too there were 4 transporters. So they say 4 standard personnel transporter rooms usually shown on deck 7. Emergency transporter typically 3 and 5 total, depending on the source version. These are high volume units designed for rapid evacuation. Some sources know they can handle around 22 people at a time. That's what I thought. It was like 20. And are one-way ship to surface only in emergency mode. They appear on deck plans, deck 8 and secondary hull. Cargo transporters, usually 2, located near the cargo holds. These handle bulk, mass cargo, and can be reconfigured for life forms in emergency at reduced capacity. So
is that the D?
Yeah, these. No, that's the 1701.
Oh,
1701. Yeah, no bloody. Yeah, so when you look at the blueprints, those cutaway posters, and if you have that Whitman's Guide to the Enterprise, I think that Roddenberry wrote with Whitman. I think it's in the plans in that. But I remember, and it makes sense you would add that, right? Too, later on to canon, you wouldn't have like, it can beam out 12 people at a time, if you needed it. So.
I would rather them just fix it later instead of we have to stick with what we did in episode 5. No, it's okay to change it.
Let's talk about
just never shown.
Let's talk about what's not being addressed here. That's why the casualties are so damn high in New Trek. They have to have 3 sets of transporters, maybe 11 or 12 sets of transporters. We know that like female identifying male Vulcans are not going to take the same transporter as cis abnormative Vulcan males.
Uh-oh. What did I miss?
What about the cross-dressing Romulans? What about the Romulans of color? What about the A&R? Goodness gracious me! What about the people from the planet from Code of Honor? Are they to go to the back of the transporter? Is that what you're telling me?
I think that episode didn't happen anymore, according to sources. Right?
Actually, I watched that. I'm doing a rewatch right now. I'm still on season 1. Code of Honor wasn't that bad.
You don't think it was
we
that
joke
bad?
about it. It was an okay episode. There was
nothing wrong with it. Sir Peace
All of
just
season
over
1
apologize
gets
because it is all.
Crap.
It
For
does.
some reason, people hate season 1, but it is the most like the original Star Trek.
Yep. I think a lot of people that say season 1 is bad haven't watched it in a while.
I'm not a fan of season 1. I'm not a fan. I've rewatched it, but there's some good points. I love Encounter Farpoint, but it's a good primer, but it doesn't fire on all cylinders like TOS does right from the beginning. So
yeah, that's true. There's a lot of stupid shit in there. Like, oh, what do you mean? I've never heard. Like Picard has a headache, and Crusher's like, I haven't heard of anyone claim of a headache in years. Like, come on.
Yeah.
No.
Right.
Maybe you know what? I could say that because simply it's so easily treatable at home by yourself at that point for them.
I mean, if they didn't if they don't have headaches in the future, I'm taking my wife with me out of the future, and like, you have no excuse anymore.
I
Well,
got
also
something
there's
to
a
show you guys.
I shouldn't go there, but there's also a holodeck. So your wife would be like, "Here's 500 holodeck credits. Leave me alone. Go have fun with 7 of 9."
I want to show everybody something. So I did something yesterday, and you know what? I've said this to everybody.
Oh, look at that.
Everybody should go see your local baseball team when the Washington Nationals come to town.
Oh,
They're
you must have
usually pretty
overpaid.
good. No, listen to this. They're usually pretty good, and the tickets are usually. What happened? This is exactly what happened. I walked up to the ticket booth and I said to them, "Sir, it's not a $30 ticket, sir." And you know what they said to me? Well, how much would you like to pay?
No way. Name your price
Way.
for the Nationals.
So I said, I think it's worth $15. He goes, I'll give you a $15 ticket.
Wow.
So here it is. It is the fireworks show at Citi Field. So
And you got to see fireworks. I mean, just seeing the fireworks are worth it
I
for
didn't
15
know
bucks.
about this, right? So I go there. It's a Friday night. Everyone's wasted. And then the people are going crazy. And this will make you feel old. Dante Bichette's son played Bo Bichette. And I'm just like, damn, I remember Larry Bichette. And
Is it really Bo Bichette or Boba Fett?
it's Bo Bichette. He's cooler than Boba Fett. But this was crazy. And like Citi Field, they've got to be different. They've got to be crazy. So like
And this is after the game, obviously. Not when all this is not for the Mets scoring an actual run or something.
What do you call it? What happened was Dante Bichette hit one and it hit the lights, and this is what happened immediately thereafter.
Did music play and he ran slow motion around the bases?
Yeah.
One of the coolest things is I haven't been. I've been to a baseball games, but I flukishly haven't gone to a night game in like 12 years, and I forgot to film this. But what happens is all of a sudden at the top of the 7th, there's a bass drop. They turn off all the lights in the stadium and they play all of Beat It, and the stadium goes into full disco mode. It starts like strobing blue and orange around the inside of the stadium, and the light stanchions around the outside turn into disco stanchions, and the strobing lights move up and down and back and forth. It was really fucking cool.
I hope the planes at LaGuardia are safe. Wow.
They
I wonder if they tell them fire, because this is if you don't know the area. I always say Shea Stadium because God damn it, to me it's always going to be Shea Stadium.
Yeah,
but
I did
even
not
though it's not,
weed at the stadium.
But it's very close to LaGuardia Airport.
Game at all?
You what?
I did not vape any pot during the game at all.
Okay, so LaGuardia was safe then. Yep.
I did not feel the least bit stoned looking at this. And I
all that smoke is from you. That's not from the fireworks.
From the Met fans getting high out of their minds.
Yeah, if you notice, these fireworks don't go that high. I was going to say.
They were specially calibrated to be shown at the stadium, and I saw some strange shit going in.
They look good. No, they look really good, but it's just because the proximity to the airport. I'm assuming they want to keep them low. Yep. Or your pilot could have fun, like flying in with someone like they're shooting at us. I hope we make it. I'm just kidding. Yeah, flying through. Yeah.
Hold on. There's not that much more Met fireworks, but I do have one more Met picture that I do want to share. It's like actually 3 more Met images that I want to share from my trip. And you know what? Part of the show is you get to see what it's like to live to see the world through my eyes. So we're adding a little value here and going long. I hope you guys don't mind. I keep messing up the share screen because my brain is glitching on me. I should run for New York State Senate.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what I'm
At
doing.
least you have a brain to glitch, unlike your representatives.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. So I saw several strange things on the way into the stadium. Here's one.
Is that dog
What is
smoking a pipe?
Yeah.
And is he collecting donations?
I pay for the crack somehow.
I walked very far away from this. It was weird. It was too weird for me.
Who's this? Is that Tom Terrific in the background?
No, that's me.
No, the statue.
The statue.
That's me too. That's also me.
That's you too.
There's a statue of me in front of Citi Field. A lot of people might not know this. When you come to New York, check out the statue of Admiral Teague in front of the Citi Field. It's right by the rainwater reservoir where the overflow water goes from Flushing Bay. And every few years, someone will abandon an alligator there, and the fans will adopt it and call it Metzi the alligator. And that's when you really have to keep your cat inside the house in Flushing. But look there, Sean, I would say that it would be Gary's apple right there, wouldn't it?
I was just going to mention the apple. Yeah. The apple in the background. Yep. The home
What
run
do you mean,
apple.
Gary's? Oh, from the home run in his first game?
Any game.
In the
Anytime
10th
he hit a
inning?
home run at home. Anytime he goes, that was for his team. But there it is. The Mets don't have a Hall of Fame. They designed their stadium really well, but they didn't make it into like a museum. Like it doesn't have like an epic Hall of Fame. They just have a wall of fame. The bad thing is it's not overwhelming. The great thing is absolutely everyone sees it.
Well, that's cool.
So when you go in at the top of the stairs, you know what? There's no not seeing it. I've been to Yankee Hall of Fame like twice, but so there's the Gary Carter plaque. Acquisition for the 1985 season provided the final piece for the Mets championship the following year. He bailed Doc Gooden and Darryl Strawberry out of jail several times and paid several cops to look the other way over dead hookers in Keith Hernandez's trailer. He was forced to live in a van in the parking lot to manage his teammates.
They really brought him on. No, they really brought him on because they're like, we need a decent player, but we don't have enough cocaine to spread around, so we need a guy who doesn't do it. So they're like, okay, because he wasn't a threat to their supply.
We only have so much cocaine on this team. Let's see.
The 80s, yeah, and he played 5 years for the Mets. But I gotta say, as a Yankee fan, like those Mets teams, that '86 Mets team was just incredible, and everyone loved Gary Carter, right? Even though, like, like Darryl Strawberry.
Actually, it says here on the plaque, he was universally beloved and liked everyone except for Lenny Dykstra, who he never loaned any money to, played cards with, or had any business ventures of any kind. And then it says in parentheticals, mandated law firm, and then it goes on. It's some law firm.
Yeah, but I mean, everyone, and his fielding too. I love, great fielders too. Like Greg Nettles is my favorite player.
He called a great game, and he had a wild pitching staff of crazy cokeheads.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, but I just love the defense.
Some of them weren't, but a few of them were.
Yeah, the defense on the Mets too. With Keith Hernandez at first. Great defense, great pitching, and I love when the defense get recognized too. And a catcher is just so critical to calling a game and controlling the game. And you see some of these catchers today are just so horrendous that, of course, some of the rules are insane about, pitcher can't go to the first base more than twice, but it makes a huge difference, a good defense. And then you add that he was a great hitter as a catcher too. So it's a rare package, because being a catcher is just a grind on your body.
Let me just finish reading the plaque here. The veteran his acquisition for the 1985 season provided the final piece of the Mets championship. The following year, the veteran catcher belted 2 home runs in a critical victory in Game 4 of the World Series and ignited the 10th inning rally in Game 6. That's the one that people forget. That was so big.
Yeah,
And
he got that
finished his
2-out hit.
career with yes, and finished his career with 324 home runs. An 11-time All-Star and 3-time Gold Glove winner, inducted into the Hall of Fame, Baseball Hall of Fame in 2000, inducted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame in 2003.
It's 3. Okay,
inducted into the Mets Hall of Fame 2001. And there it is, the Gary Carter plaque.
Well, that's the World Series against the Red Sox, where the Mets actually put up congratulations to the Red Sox, and I'm in Fairfield U with massive quantities of Mets fans, Red Sox fans, Yankees fans, and all the guys in my dorm had planned all the trips to Boston. Like, oh, my dad said he'd lend us our van and we can all go. Like, everyone was all set. You know, the Red Sox are going to win for the first time in 1918, and then that rally in that Game 6. And Bill Buckner gets a lot of grief that he shouldn't, because there was a wild pitch and other things that happened. That
Mookie would have beat that out anyway.
Yeah, Mookie would have beat that out, and the game was already tied at that point anyway. So it was just poor Bill Buckner, who was a Hall of Fame caliber player, got the blame. But what a game! So my roommate, everyone blocked themselves in the room. And they started destroying stuff. So they destroyed my patent tank. Got destroyed. I had a patent tank at school, and my SR-71 got messed up. But the patent tank I could never fix. The SR-71 was able to glue, but and then they were breaking all the But I felt so bad for my friends. Like, you know how you tease friends and you joke, but like this was just like their guts got ripped out of them. You know, when losing that.
I was in college when the Buffalo Bills lost a series of games and with a bunch of upstate people. Really quick before I take the picture down, I didn't think it was right to do it with Gary since didn't want to fake it. This is me and Daryl, okay? Come on, I went to the game pretty wasted anyway, so seems appropriate.
Wait, was it Daryl Strawberry?
The plaque.
Oh, it's reversed. Yeah. I'm like trying to read the name like Yaskrabagada Yapadu.
Oh yeah,
it's backwards.
Sean's like, what have I been drinking?
He has the best name for a cokehead baseball player. His nickname is Straw. It's like other nicknames, rolled up dollar bill. That's why I don't know. So anyway, what do you guys got going this week? Sean, did you finish your is the House of Real Lion coming along? Will there be a video about that?
There will be soon, but I'll be right back because I wanted to get what I'm working on. I'll be right back.
All right. We'll move away for the moment. Germ, do you have a monster movie for us? You're muted.
Yes, we'll have Godzilla Final Wars on Monday, the end of the Millennium Era.
Thank you very much. What time, by the way?
8 o'clock your time.
8 o'clock my time. All right. Thank you very much. By the way, just so people know what kind of person you are, Disney or Looney Tunes?
Well, Looney Tunes, of course. That mouse is the mustache man from Austria.
Yeah.
Would be jealous of that mouse.
The only accurate episode of them is the Furious Face, right? Okay, Mark, any geekery tomorrow?
Yes, there will be geekery. We'll be covering more of Terrificon and lots of slideshows and pictures and maybe a little bit of foodery. And there's some really cool Star Trek collectibles I got to show. The new bridge. They've got a bridge from the Cell Company. It's going to get a lot of my money. And then there's also I think it's going to be a gazillion-dollar bridge by who's the other? Not Master Replicas. Who's the other company that's doing the? There's another bridge that's out there. I'm drawing a blank. Buddy Hepburn had sent me the link, but there's some amazing Star Trek collectibles coming out. So
the TOS Lego bridge set is coming out soon.
Yeah, that's out too. That's $200. I told my wife, I joke with her like, you can either give this to me or a gift so you get credit for it, or I'm gonna buy it anyway. So it's give her an ultimatum. It's like, and then the X-Files sets look pretty wild too. So yeah, So we'll be enabling too. So, but yeah, it's tune in 10:30 tomorrow night, and we're gonna have some fun geeking out. A lot of cool cosplay pictures. So great to see everyone there. And Phantom is mentioning Joshua Baez hit 3 home runs in his first 3 at bats. And can he sing too? Is he related to Joan Baez? Just kidding. Yeah.
Wow. Is that as a rookie, like his first 3
at bats, he hit a home run his first 3 at bats. That's pretty damn good. Yeah. Well, I wish I had him in fantasy. Yep.
Wow. That's crazy. I don't think that'll probably never be broken.
No, I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean,
I don't think anyone's even had 2. Their first 2.
I've heard of like, first at bat getting a home run.
There's been a couple.
There's been guys who got 2 at bats in one game, in the third and the next, who got home runs. You know what I mean? In different games too.
But man, just the first 3 at bats in general, man. That's
Imagine
almost like
a pinch hit.
Well, you know what that is?
A pinch hitter.
That reminds me, like Yasiel Puig was almost that as a rookie, and then they learned how to pitch to him. Like that guy was a monster when he came up. They couldn't figure him out, and then half a
couldn't
season
hit the
later,
curve. What was it? Couldn't hit the curveball.
It was
or
a
something?
slider low and away.
It was a slider, yeah, and they couldn't hit it. Yeah.
He'd swing at every slider, and it would just out of the zone. Anyway, I got my stuff here, Admiral.
All right, thank you. Let me embiggen you after I take down the comment that's covering your face.
All right, so here's
comment
the
for cocky.
Oh,
this
nice.
is the Reliant.
Wait, Sean, you know what? Don't bring your Star Trek DEI onto my show. Leave your prejudice in your cabin, sir.
That's
a Section 31 version.
No, this is just light blocking. I still have to put the lights on in the middle. I haven't been able to bring myself to do it yet.
You froze there for a moment. Could you show us the section again?
Yeah, so the
There's
inside,
a lot of people.
I haven't put the lights on yet because I just can't bring myself to do it. But
we have a lot of people watching in Germany who want to see the ship porn.
Well, I have started working on a new Enterprise D. So here's the D. And I'm currently putting a shit ton of lights on her.
Whoa.
Look at all that. There we go. See all those light strips, all these little right there, everywhere.
A lot of work, God.
Yo, God, these 2 things combined are probably about 8 hours, and I still have a lot of wiring I got to do. That's what I got to get going. I have to work on this tonight. But this is going to be a good one too. So eventually I'll get the Reliant done. Eventually.
Got to keep those photon torpedoes away from it. Make sure to put up the shields.
All right. Well,
thanks, Gunnar.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, I messed up the other night. I apologize. I didn't do it. I realized there was some backlash, but you know what? I can play her for you now and give you what you all deserve.
All right.
Sydney Sweeney. But you know what? Before we go,
we haven't done the incoming Sydney Sweeney one in a while.
You know what? We haven't. You know what? Maybe.
Incoming Sydney Sweeney video. Set burners to full. Lubrication supply sufficient for projected fapping level. Paper towels to standby. Turbo lift door secured and locked. Wives and girlfriend interruption probability at 12%. You may commence masturbatory actions at any time.
I like. Oh, are we frozen?
I love that. No, I wasn't frozen. I was clicking around, doing a couple of stuff. All right, doing a couple of things. Listen, everybody, thank you so much for coming out tonight for Star Trek. Hey, Gunnar, good to see you. We had a bunch of people here tonight, and I want to thank everyone who's here. RRTNZ, Radioactive, The Dead Man, Mark Harkness, Sean Carter, The Trek Reviewer, Phantom Outsider, Gavin Unit, Mark to the Sea, Michelle Fairytales, Darth Plato, Option Trader 1776, the Peter Venkman Fan Club, Gooner 70, NS, Joe Lamont Sama, Deepool, John the Beagle Dead, Buddy Hepburn, Great Samon Gohan, Dan Crane 1, Sci-Fi Sith Den, The Real Head Case. See you next Tuesday. PCAT, CTD 1880, the Critically Thinking and Drinking, Tetrarch of Apathy. And you know what? I can't thank you all enough. Thanks for being here for our Star Trek show. Tuesday, I'll be dropping some videos. Maybe I'll be on. And on Thursday, we'll be back with another exciting episode of Star
We got
Trek.
the Muppet episode this Thursday, guys. Make sure you're here to hear us rip it apart.
The Muppets are going to be on Star Trek?
Yeah, no, the Strange
I
New
think
Worlds Muppet episode is next Thursday.
Hold on here. I have a communique from Paramount. I need to read this. It should be understood by all that on Alex Kurtzman's, I don't know why, that's the first time I ever saw it described like that. On Alex Kurtzman's project, described by some as Star Trek, the Muppet-like characters are neither Star Trek nor Muppets. They are merely puppet-like costumes with any passing similarity to the Muppets should be disregarded. These in no way are Muppets and are not affiliated with the Walt Disney Company, the Muppets, quality, entertainment, enjoyment, or Star Trek. I had to read that disclaimer. It was sent to us by our lawyer, Cogley. Anyway, we love you all. And please do me a favor. Come on back. And you know what? I said I would do it last time. I messed up. So I owe it to you. I don't want to go on and on about it.
I was so mad when I didn't see Sydney the other night. God, I almost
fucked everybody over. I'm
I
sorry,
was
guys.
like, what? I have my membership here, and I don't get to see Sydney Sweeney. Come on.
All right, guys, we're out of here.
You right born to kill on your helmet, and you wear a peace button. What's that supposed to be? Some kind of sick joke?
We love you all. We'll see you next time on Saving Star Trek.
This is a personal massager.